Just being an anti-fascist, according to Pam Bondi, being opposed to fascism, according to Pam Bondi, is now apparently a crime in America. America's new political reality, Trump decides which beliefs are legal. Now, back in September, and actually in the first week of October, I mentioned this. We talked about this right here on this program on the air. And I wasn't really taking it seriously. I thought this was virtue signaling to the Trump base, you know, the freaks, the genuine haters, the white Christian nationalists, the people like, you know, Pete Hegseth, who have, the Crusader cross tattooed on his chest. I mean, these kinds of nutcases who think that if you're not a white male Christian, you're not really an American, that kind of stuff. There was this national security presidential memorandum that Donald Trump issued, and back in September, just 4 months ago, and or 3.5, whatever. And it included, it said that the government was going to come after you essentially, or investigate you if you displayed any of the indicators of potential domestic terrorism. So if any of these things apply to you, according to this memo, which again, back in September, I thought was just virtue signaling like a joke. If any of these things apply to you, you might be a domestic terrorist and the FBI might come after you, or at least, that's the way it was presented. And they included, and I quote, this is from the memo itself, from Trump's National Security Presidential Memorandum number 7, quote, anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, anti-Christianity, extremism on migration, extremism on race, extremism on gender, hostility toward those who hold traditional American views on the family, hostility toward those who hold traditional American views on religion, and hostility toward those who hold traditional American views on morality. So have you ever spoken ill of our country or its policies, particularly under Trump? That would be anti-Americanism. Have you ever trash-talked capitalism or praised socialism or, on social media? That would be anti-capitalism. Ever publicly questioned Christianity or professed loyalty to Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, paganism, or any other non-Christian belief system or religion? Have you embraced the trans or the larger queer community? Have you spoken out in defense of single parents or gay marriage or same-sex couples adopting children? Have you said things or carried a sign that might hurt the feelings of masked ICE agents, Donald Trump or Kristi Noem? I mean, when this came out in September, just imagining that any of those things could trigger an FBI investigation of you or me just seems so bizarre that I didn't take it seriously. I mean, I reported on it here and I talked about it and I said, this is bizarre stuff. And neither did the mainstream media. This was a one-day story and it was pretty much confined to MSNBC. I'm not even sure it made CNN. It was just a one-day story. I wrote about it in a October Saturday report. I did an article about it, and then that was it. Again, I didn't think that this was an actual plan to set up a Russia-style police state right here in America. I thought this was just virtue signaling to the Republican base. Turns out I was wrong. Now, in a second bombshell report, Ken Klippenstein has obtained and published a copy of a memo that Attorney General Pam Bondi sent to the FBI on December 4th, which is what, last Thursday? Last week. Ordering the FBI to actually begin Russia-style investigations of people and groups who fit into the categories that I just described. Not only that, she ordered the FBI to go back 5 years in their research and their investigations of our social media posts, our protest attendance, and any other activities to find any evidence of our possible following of these now forbidden views and beliefs. Just being an anti-fascist, according to Pam Bondi, being opposed to fascism, according to Pam Bondi, is now apparently a crime in America. This is from her memo to the FBI. This is the official memo from Attorney General Pam Bondi to Kash Patel, to the director of the FBI, directing him to direct his agents to investigate people who are anti-fascist. It said, quote, further, this anti-fascist ideology that paints legitimate government authority and traditional conservative views. You know, John F. Kennedy famously said, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Well, today on the final day of our winter pledge drive, that question lands right in our laps. Because this morning, our frontline funders stepped up and said, you know, the fight is too big. The stakes are too high. Let's supercharge it. So they turned today into a double match day. That means that every dollar you give is matched 2 more times. You donate $30, a frontline funder kicks in $60, turning your impact into $90. Every gift is functionally tripled, but only today. And yes, this is the moment to grab the thank you gifts we've been saving for the home stretch. $20 with a one-time gift, mystery sticker. $60 or $5 a month. You support the remote area medical through RAM contributions. $120 or $10 a month. You get a signed copy of my book, The Last American President, at a special deal, a special lower price, $120 instead of $144. $240, the virtual Thom Hartmann meet and greet. We get together on Zoom, and for $1,000, come to Portland and watch the last hour of the program sitting here in our humble studio, and I'll buy you lunch. So ask not what independent media can do for you. Ask what we can build together, especially when your donation gets tripled. Call 877-378-8669 or visit us at freespeech.org/donate.
But a call to bear the burden of a long twilight struggle, year in and year out, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, a struggle against the common enemies of man, tyranny, poverty, disease, and war itself. Can we forge against these enemies a grand and global alliance, north and south, east and west, that can assure a more fruitful life for all mankind? Will you join in that historic effort? In the long history of the world, only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger. I do not shrink from this responsibility. I welcome it. I do not believe that any of us would exchange places with any other people or any other generation. The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. My fellow citizens of the world, ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man. Finally, whether you are citizens of America or citizens of the world, ask of us here the same high standards of strength and sacrifice which we ask of you. With a good conscience, our only sure reward, with history the final judge of our deeds, let us go forth to lead the land we love, asking his blessing and his help, but knowing that here on earth, God's work must truly be our own.
Welcome back. And friends, this is it. The last day, the last push, the moment in a pledge drive where we find out who we really are. Corporate media will bend, they will buckle, they will bow to power. We've seen it. We've watched truth get treated like an inconvenience. But free speech TV, we don't answer to billionaires. We answer to you. That's why this double match day matters so much. It's a chance to say we show up for the country we believe in.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Hey, happy Friday, TGIF, Shabbat Shalom, Juma Mubarak. It is the end of the week, the beginning of the weekend, and here we are. Who do Trump and the GOP really work for? We'll talk about that in just a moment. Also, the trends are beating Trump up badly and embracing others, like Mamdani and the new mayor down in, Higgins, I think her name is, down in Miami. A lot of interesting stuff going on. Donald Trump is having a very bad week, and we'll get to the Epstein pictures, in fact, that were just released in just a minute. Also, Trump is threatening to not pave roads in Indiana. Is this how this is going to happen? I mean, this is getting wild. In the second hour of our program, Alex Lawson is going to drop by from Social Security Works and tell us about the new plots to destroy both Social Security and Medicare. The Republicans hate these programs. They hated Social Security in 1935 when FDR put it into law. They hated Medicare in 1965 when LBJ put it into law. And they are committed to destroy them. And it looks like they're having some significant success. We'll talk about that with Alex Lawson. Also, in the second hour, the FBI's branch operations director was asked by Congress yesterday, or in Congress yesterday, who is this Antifa? Where are they? Who are their members? Where's their headquarters? And ended up kind of mumbling to himself. Also, Merry Christmas. The EU just kicked Trump and Putin in the nuts. We'll talk about that. In the third hour of our program, ICE agents wrongfully detained a U.S. citizen who's in Minneapolis. They said he looked like he was a Somali. In other words, he was a black guy. Dragged him off, tackled him in a restaurant with a flying tackle. I mean, he was just sitting there having lunch, right? Wham! On the floor, dragged him out to a van, hauled him off 7 miles away to some ICE facility. He finally is able to convince them to look at his passport. He actually had his passport with him. And so they kicked him outside in the snow, without a coat on, and said, walk back. He's like, will you drive me back to the restaurant? No, you can walk in the snow. This is nuts. We'll talk about that. Also, Donald Trump signs a new executive order blocking states from regulating AI. This is Donald Trump bowing down and kissing the butts of the AI, the tech lords, right? The tech bros, the guys who think they're smarter than anybody else in the world and want to run the world. It doesn't carry the force of law, but, well, we'll talk about that in the third hour. And Bob Kennedy in the third hour. Bob Kennedy must be very proud. Measles is spreading in America. You'll recall in 2000, we ended measles in the United States. There wasn't a single case the entire year of 2000. We declared measles gone. Oh, Bob brought it back. Isn't that nice? But to start out, who are Donald Trump and the Republican Party really working for? That's the question I'm asking over at HartmannReport.com with my daily take today. We are in or on the verge of a seriously bad recession right now. I mean, I am seeing it. I've mentioned this before. We're seeing ad revenue softening, and it's not my program specifically. I mean, the entire industry is seeing ad revenue down. I have a number of colleagues and friends who publish Substack newsletters, as I do. Many of them are paid newsletters, and in fact, I got a nearly hysterical email from one of them a couple of weeks ago, just going on and on about how my revenue is collapsing, everybody's canceled. Well, these are these are signs, in my opinion, that the recession is here, that it's real. And that it's bad already. And Trump is not publishing the numbers. His incoherent tariffs, his massive tax breaks for billionaires, and his gutting the Inflation Reduction Act are basically kneecapping the economy. And so in response to this, Donald hops on his, on Air Force One and goes to Pocono, Pennsylvania on, Tuesday or Wednesday of this week, and tried to pitch himself as a champion for the little guy, the middle class, the small farmers, the working people. Which raises the question, who does Trump really work for? I mean, let's just look at what's been going on. Putin was furious that the Biden administration had been providing Ukraine with weapon systems, including air defense munitions and HIMARS rockets. So in March of this year, Donald Trump just stopped all that stuff. Is he working for Putin? America's billionaires didn't want to pay their damn taxes, so Trump and the GOP gave them trillions in tax breaks. And while increasing the taxes paid by the bottom 80% of Americans, not to mention the increase in the average American family is spending $1,200 a year more this year because of Trump's tariffs, in addition to higher income taxes, although the billionaires got lower income taxes. So is Trump working for the billionaires? Well, he is one. He's got 13 of them in his cabinet. After giving the Trump family gifts, trademarks, and patents, President Xi of China wanted NVIDIA chips so he could build out his military so for when he takes Taiwan, so he'll be able to whomp the United States. So Trump changed the rules so Xi could get his chips. And the Republicans in Congress are refusing to do anything about it. Both Putin and Xi were constantly irritated by the Voice of America, contradicting their lies and telling the truth and promoting democracy. Oh, my God. So Trump killed off the Voice of America. They're shutting down the transmitters. I mean, they're not just, for a while there, they filled them with right-wing propaganda. They carried One American News or whatever, one of these right-wing networks. Now they're just shutting them down. So is Trump working for Putin and Xi? Sure looks like it. The massive airline monopolies were furious that Joe Biden and Congress forced them, well, Biden actually was an executive order, forced them to pay $200 to $700 per person every time they bumped somebody or canceled a flight that didn't have to do with weather. And so Trump had his reality star FAA head, Sean Duffy, undo that rule. Putin, is he working for the giant corporation? Well, of course. Putin and Xi hated the soft power that America got by saving literally millions of lives around the world. Anti-poverty, anti-AIDS, famine relief programs. So Trump has DOGE shut down USAID. The right-wing billionaires who don't believe they should have to pay taxes to subsidize the little people didn't want the Affordable Care Act subsidies extended. So Trump and little Mike Johnson, who called these subsidies a boondoggle, just said, yeah, okay, well, screw those people. We'll just save that money, and it'll be more for our tax cuts for billionaires. Saudi Arabia and massive American fossil fuel corporations and petrostates like Russia were offended by the Paris Agreement and the UN and Biden efforts to phase out petroleum and mitigate climate change. So Trump and the GOP pulled us out of the Paris Agreement and refused to attend the COP meeting in Brazil last month. The morbidly rich wanted to pass their fortunes along to their trust fund babies without paying estate taxes. So Trump and Republicans in Congress passed a tax cut that primarily benefits the 400 richest families in America. Fossil fuel billionaires and their corporations were worried that the money Biden allocated for green energy projects would cut into their future profits. So Trump and the GOP slashed trillions from them, as well as subsidies and rebates for energy saving and electric vehicles. Billionaire-funded media operations were offended by NPR and PBS, showing up their lies. So Trump and the Republicans canceled their federal funding. Billionaire Elon Musk was horrified that he was going to have to spend billions in fines for, basically criminal activity or something close to it, perhaps fraudulent activity and regulatory costs and fines. And so Trump let him use his DOGE program to basically shut down the agencies that were trying to regulate him. Bitcoin billionaire Changpeng Zhao was sitting in prison, lengthy prison sentence, but he goosed what do you call it? It was called a stable coin, a Trump stable coin. He helped that thing out, made the Trump family billions, so Trump gives him a pardon. Giant corporations and their morbidly rich owners wanted to screw workers so they could increase their profits. So Trump and congressional Republicans have taken over 100 different individual actions that cut pay, gut union protections, and slash benefits for workers, but help the most massive corporations. Big banks that make billions every year on interest from student loans hated Biden's efforts to pay off student loans and reduce interest rates. So Trump and congressional Republicans have rolled back all those efforts and ended the last of the loan forgiveness programs. Have Trump and Republicans done anything in the last 44 years for average working people? Zero. Nothing. I've been running a contest to this effect for 23 years on this program. You know, the bottom line here is that the 2026 elections are coming sooner than most people realize. And we need to get ready. We need to just, you know, wipe these people off the map politically by showing up in huge numbers to vote. And that means checking, and particularly if you live in a blue part of a red state, you know, where they're purging voter rolls as we speak. Go to vote.org and double check your voter registration and pass this along to everybody you know, because we need to wake people the hell up.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
I'll be right back. Stick around. And welcome back. Chris in Littleton, Colorado. Hey, Chris, what's on your mind today?
Yeah, good morning, Tom. Unless we stop putting fossil fuel greenhouse gases into the atmosphere in the next 20 years, we will face severe climate disaster. Methane is the most potent gas. Okay, look up this story on the computer, Aspen Times /Elk Creek Mine.
Oh, you can just tell me about it.
Okay, or Colorado Sun /Bowie 1 mine. Okay, 3 environmentalists, a ski resort owner, a scientist, and a power plant engineer sealed off the entrance to the abandoned Elk Creek mine and put in a big pipe with a valve. And then they built a small power plant powered by the waste methane that was escaping from the mine.
Wow.
They power the entire ski resort, lifts, restaurants, everything on waste methane that was escaping from the mine into the atmosphere.
That's incredible.
And recently they sealed off another abandoned mine, the Bowie 1 mine. Mm-hmm. And they have a huge pipe with a flame burning methane. This could be used to either heat homes or generate electricity. I don't know. They haven't got that far yet. But the point is there are abandoned mines and oil wells constantly leaking methane all over the country. Mm-hmm. They could be generating electricity.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I get it, Chris. You know, methane is, I think, 28 times more potent a greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. And one of the biggest problems is, you know, all these leaking oil wells, these old wells that you know, haven't been appropriately capped. And I mean, they can see this stuff from outer space. It's
and
wild.
They could simply put a small generating power plant there and generate electricity for the area.
Yeah. Well, yeah, perhaps. The small power plant, yeah. It's the problem is that a lot of these, I don't know if you've seen the Landman series on, I think it's on Paramount now, but it's, you know, starring Billy Bob Thornton and Demi Moore. It's, you know, it's all about these guys who are drilling for oil down in Texas. And a lot of these wells are out in areas, you know, hundreds of thousands of acres of just basically nothing. And so they're not going to be generating electricity for anything local. I mean, there's nothing local going on there.
Well, they can put it back into the grid, though. I mean,
well, there is no grid there. In some cases, they're generating their own electricity from their own wells using that gas just to run the motors that run the pumps. Which was interesting. I mean, I'm actually, you know, watching this TV show, learning about the fossil fuel industry. It's an incredibly well written show. But you know, I get it. And by the way, I think it was France the French environmental minister, there was a story about this, as I recall, in the Financial Times either yesterday or the day before, that they're now predicting that we're going to hit 3 degrees Celsius of warming by 2050, which would be, just insanely disastrous. But, we'll see.
Oh, they need solutions to. We
really do. Yeah, absolutely. Chris, thanks for the call, and thanks for listening to us there in Colorado on Free Speech TV. We'll be right back. Hey, thanks so much for sharing our program and for reaching out to our stations and sponsors and letting them know that you're listening. It really means a lot to us. So what do we call the really, really mind-bogglingly rich? At the founding of the Republic, they were referred to as speculators or moneyed interest or aristocrats. In the years leading up to the Civil War, we called them the cotton lords and the plantation aristocracy. In the late 19th century, they were the robber barons. In the 1930s, FDR called them the economic royalists. But since the Reagan Revolution, we've just called them billionaires. And now, some of them want to call themselves tech bros. Like, that's kind of a good thing, like tech is positive and bros, like Mark Zuckerberg saying we need more masculine energy in American business culture. So we need a new phrase. I would like to suggest the morbidly rich. Morbidly suggests unhealthy. And the vast riches that some of these people have is unhealthy to our democracy, particularly since 5 Republicans on the Supreme Court said that morbidly rich people can buy politicians. And it's unhealthy for them, too. So morbidly rich. There's an op-ed over at HartmannReport.com all about it. Check it out.
He rolled into a small-town crowd, talking working man proud. Shook a couple calloused hands, smiled for the camera loud. But behind that stage light shine, it's a different plan. Write the rules for gilded thrones and build the common man. It's a great betrayal. Dressed up in red, white, blue, they point at us for blame while they're cutting deals in rooms. You can hear them say you're fine, but the ink don't lie. It's the rich get rescued and the rest get by.
23 minutes past the hour. Welcome back. So Donald Trump, the pictures, Donald Trump is having a terrible week. As I mentioned, there's just I think we're in a serious recession. I mentioned some of the indicators. We're also, I know some of our nonprofit radio stations are seeing their fundraising drives not coming up as well as they could. We're certainly seeing that on Free Speech TV. They're running behind on their fundraising really badly. So if you're listening to us on one of our nonprofit stations that's in a fundraising moment, many of them are right now, or if you're watching us on Free Speech TV, which is also in a fundraising moment right now, they really need your help. And this is a serious crisis for them right now. So that's one problem for Trump, is that everybody in the country realizes that the economy is going to hell. And then comes these Epstein pictures, including one of Trump with a bunch of underage girls. Yep, Trump's very bad day. Indiana Republicans resoundingly rejected this redistricting map yesterday after Trump threatened them. I mean, which is just nuts, and now he's continuing to threaten them. His DOJ brought another indictment of Letitia James before a grand jury, and they said, nah, don't think we're going to indict. Kilmar Abrego Garcia is now back with his family, the guy who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador. This guy's been through hell, and they're still trying to get him because, Trump doesn't want to be embarrassed. The House passed the Protect America's Workforce Act yesterday. That's crazy. I mean, this passed 231 to 195. In other words, all the Democrats voted for it and a substantial handful of Republicans. And this reversed Donald Trump's union-busting executive order that basically said federal workers can't have unions. Trump's poll numbers hit a record low yesterday. 31% of adults in the United States say he's handling the economy well. That's down from 40% in March. He's at 36% overall approval. That pretty much sucks. I mean, Trump is weak. Pete Buttigieg. Nate, do we have that video? We do not. Okay, Pete Buttigieg came out and, it's over on Blue Sky, and because he's from Indiana, pointed out that, in Indiana, it's not even close. I mean, the Republicans in Indiana just said to Trump, no thanks, we're not going to help you rig the 2026 election. Also, home prices went negative for the first time in 2 years. Basically since the recession. Home prices are down 1.4%, according to Parsi Labs, in just the last 3 months. Now, of course, that's not as bad as, the Bush crash when they went down 27%, but still. And Mamdani and Letitia James are trying to take on high New York housing costs, making the Republicans look absolutely silly. Letitia James is suing a company. Michael Lohan Jr. owns it. He's the brother of Lindsay Lohan. They deregulated 159 rent-stabilized housing units across 31 buildings through illegal means, she says. And Mamdani met with a bunch of closed-door meeting with real estate executives and members of 2 industry groups. And he said they're going to try and work some stuff out to deal with unhoused people and the high price of rent in New York. So interesting stuff. Meanwhile, we have a mob boss presidency, and the Heritage Foundation thinks it's the coolest thing ever. I'll tell you about that after the break and pick up your calls in just a moment. It's 27 minutes past the hour.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
Exposing the con in conservative. I'll be right back with you. John F. Kennedy famously said, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Well, today on the final day of our winter pledge drive, that question lands right in our laps. Because this morning, our frontline funders stepped up and said, the fight is too big. The stakes are too high. Let's supercharge it. So they turned today into a double match day. That means that every dollar you give is matched 2 more times. You donate $30, a frontline funder kicks in $60, turning your impact into $90. Every gift is functionally tripled, but only today. And yes, this is the moment to grab the thank you gifts we've been saving for the home stretch. $20 with a one-time gift, mystery sticker. $60 or $5 a month. You support the remote area medical through RAM contributions. $120 or $10 a month, you get a signed copy of my book, The Last American President, at a special deal, a special lower price, $120 instead of $144. $240, the virtual Thom Hartmann meet and greet. We get together on Zoom, and for $1,000, come to Portland and watch the last hour of the program sitting here in our humble studio, and I'll buy you lunch. So ask not what independent media can do for you. Ask what we can build together, especially when your donation gets tripled. Call 877-378-8669 or visit us at freespeech.org/donate.
But a call to bear the burden of a long twilight struggle, year in and year out, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, a struggle against the common enemies of man, tyranny, poverty, disease, and war itself. Can we forge against these enemies a grand and global alliance, north and south, east and west, that can assure a more fruitful life for all mankind? Will you join in that historic effort? In the long history of the world, only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger. I do not shrink from this responsibility. I welcome it. I do not believe that any of us would exchange places with any other people or any other generation. The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. My fellow citizens of the world, ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man. Finally, whether you are citizens of America or citizens of the world, ask of us here the same high standards of strength and sacrifice which we ask of you. With a good conscience, our only sure reward, with history the final judge of our deeds, let us go forth to lead the land we love, asking his blessing and his help, but knowing that here on earth, God's work must truly be our own.
Welcome back. And friends, this is it. The last day, the last push, the moment in a pledge drive where we find out who we really are. Corporate media will bend, they will buckle, they will bow to power. We've seen it. We've watched truth get treated like an inconvenience. But free speech TV, we don't answer to billionaires. We answer to you. That's why this double match day matters so much. It's a chance to say, we show up for the country we believe in. We stand up for truth. We fund the media we want our kids and our grandkids to inherit. If you give $10 today, it turns into $30. If you give $50, it becomes $150. Every single act of generosity becomes 3 acts of power. So let's meet this moment the way JFK meant it. Eyes forward, shoulders squared, hands on the wheel of our own democracy. Call 877-378-8669 or go to freespeech.org/donate before the match ends at midnight. Help strengthen and keep together this extraordinary community of Free Speech TV viewers. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what we can do for each other and our media right now. And sponsors and letting them know that you're listening. It really means a lot to us. Back 34 minutes past the hour. So I mentioned the mob boss presidency. This is just crazy. Indiana, Republicans in Indiana, Indiana Republican legislators yesterday said to Donald Trump, thanks, but no thanks. We're not going to help you rig the 2026 election. And they said it because they had heard from their constituents. I mean, this is what Pete Buttigieg was talking about. You know, this is like, no thanks. So now the Heritage Foundation tweets out, and this is just nuts, President Trump has made it clear to Indiana leaders if the Indiana Senate fails to pass the map, all federal funding will be stripped from the state. Roads will not be paved. Guard bases will close. Major projects will stop. These are the stakes, and every no vote will be to blame. Is he actually going to do this? I mean, that's my first question. And then the second, Justin Amash, you know, the former Republican from northern Michigan, as I recall, tweeted, Heritage, so this was the Heritage Foundation that said this. Heritage in 2015, defend states' rights. Heritage in 2025, kneel before Zod. Yes, Indiana Republicans, you must kneel before the great God Trump. This is nuts. All right, what's on your mind today? Russ in Hickory Hill, Illinois. Hey, Russ, what's up?
Thanks for taking my call, Tom. Before I get to it, we should tamp down that we're going to win the House and Senate. But why I called, if we win the presidency in 2028, in 2029, I know I'm just going by what I see on TV. Can we use the RICO Act on these guys?
Yeah.
Like they got the 5 heads of the family? Because I tell you what, if it's not them, Trump's whole family, they run like the Saudis, we cut them off.
Yeah.
Or the Supreme Court's got to go to jail for treason, or his whole cabinet, Tom, has got to be sued. We just can't do what Garland did. I was wondering, look what he's doing with Lawson.
Well, there's some just naked law breaking going on right in front of us. With regard to the Supreme Court, you've got Clarence Thomas having 40 years, 30 years of taking bribes. In the Trump administration right now, you've got Trump's son-in-law, who's taken $3 billion now from Saudi Arabia, is off negotiating with the people who are paying him. And, it's illegal, by the way, what he's doing, all these negotiations. And it's just, I think that there are going to be a lot of potential targets, shall we say, when the day comes.
I want to ask too, how we won all these seats. I think one in Georgia, 51.5. I don't know much about politics. You think the party is shrinking?
The Republican Party?
What is it? Yeah, like it's 80-20 in one poll.
Yeah,
let's be honest, we're shrinking.
Yeah,
the whites are going to die off a point or two while he's in office.
Yeah, this is one of the things we've seen is that more and more people are not identifying as Republicans, not labeling themselves as Republicans, and most of them are shifting to being independents, not Democrats. But I think that there are a few people out there, the David Jolly types who were Republicans and are now Democrats, who are saying enough already, this Trump craziness. Russ, thanks for the call. Ziggy in Oneonta, New York. Hey, Ziggy, what's on your mind today?
Hi, Tom. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Back at you.
Thank you. I wanted to chime in on your ACA discussion yesterday, and I realized that the Senate didn't pass the bill yesterday, but there is still a few days where they could maybe finagle something out.
Well, there's still the justice. That discharge petition is working its way through the House, and it's going to get a couple of Republicans. I suspect it's going to pass, but I could be wrong. I don't know. We'll see.
That's true, but I don't think it will pass the Senate. And my main reason for that is this way they own the libs. You have the Democrats who caved on the shutdown, and this is the only thing they might have gotten. And now they're not going to get it. And when they don't get it, the Republicans are going to blame them for not presenting them with a bill that they could pass.
Yeah, good luck with that.
I know. That's crazy, but that's kind of the way they do things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think they're more interested in owning the libs,
I get that. I do think that there's a bunch of members, Republicans in the House and Senate, who are looking at their electoral prospects coming up, who will, I still continue to think that they will cave. Louise continues to think that they will not. And that they're going to... I'm
on Louise's side.
I think probably everybody is. But, we'll see. We'll know by the end of next week for sure, so...
I know.
Stay tuned, as they say.
And by the way,
I
heard they're going to cancel Christmas because Santa and Rudolph don't have the proper documentation to enter the United States.
That's right. He lives in another country, the North Pole.
That's right.
I wonder if he submitted his social media yet to ICE.
Oh, yeah. Naughty and nice. All right, take care. Bye.
God. Good talking to you, Ziggy. Thank you. Jerry in Venice, California. Hey, Jerry, what's up?
Yeah, we're down here at the boardwalk on Sundays with Veterans for Peace.
Oh, cool. And good on you.
On Veterans Day, we went to the VA, to the parking lot for the UCLA ballpark that's on the VA. and they got a stay on this second judge that threw them out of there. Said if it's not for Veterans Care, you're out of here. They did this in 2011. They got a stay. They're spending like $1 billion there, repiping everything and all this, which Obama did do some work because we did get on the VA after years of trying.
Yeah.
Here's what the LA Times reported that followed the first time that a judge threw them off. He said on public radio, he said, Brentwood and Westwood don't want them, but here they come. And that's before the homeless thing. That was 2011. And then they showed up on the Brentwood side wanting in, and they finally let them in. But I was up there, and I asked this guy, do you live here? And he says, yeah. I says, are you a veteran? He said, no. He's an AB-1 visa from India.
Oh, interesting.
And that's what and it was supposed to be, it was given to us in 1888. The deed says home for veterans. That's all it says.
Yeah.
So for 10 years out there at Santa Monica, I put out this proclamation that in the deed we trust. It was written by the family and us and veterans.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Well,
we're
good luck
there
with that, Jerry.
on Sundays with our little thing, and come on down and get your peace tree.
Peace tree? Did you say? Yeah. Jerry, thank you very much. Nicholas in San Cristobal, Mexico. Hey, Nicholas, what's up?
Hey, real quickly, last time I spoke with you, I was encouraging you to be more outraged, you may remember, and you said you can't become Mike Malloy. I had no idea who Mike Malloy was, but I went to YouTube. Oh, my God.
Mike Malloy is a wonderful, I have known Mike for, well, I've known Mike since I started this show. I met him 23 years ago. He's one of my favorite people. He's a genius. He's a truly decent human being.
His language, Tom. His language.
I know.
It's hard. I mean, listen.
He's right up there with Jeff
Tiedrich. As anybody, but that's too much.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen. I'm confused, as are a number of people I know, by a video we've been listening to, a couple actually, that purport to clarify how the Supreme Court, in a hurried decision, or what's it called when they speed track?
Oh, you're talking the shadow docket?
I think it must be the shadow docket.
Or they call it, sometimes it's called the emergency docket.
Some decision that clawed back a considerable amount of Trump's so-called presidential immunity. Do you know anything about this?
I do not.
I don't either. This supposedly happened on October 21st and 2nd of this year, just 2 months ago, nearly 2 months ago. And it had to do with the New Jersey congresswoman who was being sued by Trump for the administration. Remember when she was there with the mayor, and they were going to inspect the ICE facility, et cetera, et cetera. And she said that she wanted to claim immunity as well, and the court went nuts, and it was appealed. She lost her attempt at that. The case was appealed by her attorneys, of course. It's still in that state of appeal, apparently.
Was this under the provision in the Constitution that says that a member of Congress can't be charged with a crime when they're... The speech and debate clause is what it's referred to as.
Speech and debate clause, exactly. So anyway, this site purports to claim, with great documentation from the New York Times, from Reuters, from Bloomberg, from other legal sources as well, and they document it step by step by step very convincingly. I would have thought if this were the case, it would have been major, major, major news.
I would think so too. Send me a link, Nicholas. I'd love to see the information on that. I'm just not
How do
familiar.
I send that to you?
Well, if you don't have my email address, the easiest way to do it is to, you have a Substack account?
I do not. I don't have pretty much anything.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, you can sign up on Substack for free, and you can DM me on Substack. That's the best way to do it. It's the only place where you can DM.
Tom.
Yeah.
Tom, I'm the one who suffers so seriously from macular degeneration. I can't see any of those things.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll track it down, Nicholas. No problem. I'll see what I can do.
Look for Pump Politics. Pump Politics.
PUMP?
Yeah, and it is absolutely fascinating and, as I say, convincing.
Yeah, I'll
we got
check
to
it
figure
out.
out whether this is legitimate or not.
I'll check it out. Nicholas, thanks. It's nice to hear from you. And happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Thank you. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit thomhartmann.com for audio and video archives.
Defending America from the weapons of mass deception. I'll be back with your calls in just a moment. 45 minutes past the hour. And welcome back. CJ in Shreveport, Louisiana. Hey, CJ, what's on your mind today?
Well, you remember a book by a certain right-wing shock jock by the name of Michael Savage, and the book was titled Liberalism is a Mental Disorder.
Disorder, okay. Yeah. I remember it well.
Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about a few famous people. There was actor Kevin Sorbo, who had 7 strokes and then became pretty conservative as a result. I mean, I wouldn't say as a result, excuse me. Just afterwards became pretty conservative. Then we have Senator John Fetterman, had a stroke, but became more conservative, even though he's still caucusing with the Democrats for leadership, at least.
Right.
But he even said in an interview recently that the stroke freed his mind to be more conservative.
Really?
And then, of course, there's RFK Jr., son of one of the most progressive politicians of the previous century.
He had a worm eat part of his brain. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you think of a single counterexample of a reasonably famous person or anybody that has suffered damage to the brain and became more progressive afterwards, whose politics shifted to the left?
No. So your suggestion is that conservatism in some small number of cases is the consequence of brain damage.
Well, we don't. I'm saying that every time that it seems that a political shift happens after brain damage, it always seems to be to the right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
Which is really a mental disorder.
Yeah, that's fascinating. CJ, thanks for that. I'm not sure what to do with it, but it's interesting information. Thank you. Joe in Van Nuys, California. Hey, Joe, what's on your mind today?
Oh, my God. Thank you, CJ. That is incredible brain damage. I never thought. And I'm a conspiracy theorist. And speaking of which, we all know Malcolm Nance, the U.S.
The former spy, yeah. He's Black Man Spy is his book, yeah. And he's got a great Substack newsletter, yep.
Yeah, he's talking about how there's a rich people conspiracy to turn the Constitution into where it only applies to them and not to the rest of the people. Have you heard of it?
Not specifically in those terms, no. And he was on the show just a couple of weeks ago. I mean, you know, but I didn't know about that. Didn't ask him about that.
I listened to it even a couple of times in the in between drops in the Stephanie Miller show. It's pretty fresh in my head. Where the Constitution will only apply to rich people, and it can be. And in my head, it's always been kind of like that, you know, because I have seen how justice is not blind.
Yeah.
You know, and how it just seems like we're all being played.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And
no, I get that. I totally get that.
So when you're fighting for the rights for people to be free in 1776, and you write up a constitution, and it says we the people have these rights, so and so and so. Now, if you put the and people and you insert affluent, ain't nobody going to fight for you. But if you turn around and you say, hey, these rights are for everybody, you can get even slaves to fight. And then you just keep the talk going on.
Yeah. You know, Joe, I'll have to check out Malcolm Nance's piece and his website. I got to run. Thank you for the call. It's 10 minutes before the hour. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds. Stay with us. Hey, thanks so much for sharing our program and for reaching out to our stations and sponsors and letting them know that you're listening. It really means a lot to us. I have 8 suggestions for Democrats for messaging. Democrats seem to have a messaging problem right now. First, Democrats must frame the fight in simple moral terms. Don't be wonky like, hey, we need to expand social safety net. No, say no child in America should go to bed hungry. Second, Democrats need to stop playing defense and instead seize the populist high ground. Like when FDR said, they are unanimous in their hate for me and I welcome their hatred. Third, ruthlessly define the Republican opposition and the morbidly rich oligarchs who own them. Fourth, tell stories instead of facts. This is, Reagan did this with the black welfare queen. He had to lie about it, but we've got lots of great stories. That's number 4th. There's 4 more, and they're all over at HartmannReport.com. The title of the article is, If Obama Had Sent a Mob to Kill a Cop, Republicans Would Never Let You Forget It. And it's all about how Democrats can reinvent their messaging to start winning elections big. Check it out.
They hit up low like it's nothing, like it's just another show. Blue lights in a highlight reel and a laugh track down below. A family's breath caught in their throat, a door frame split in air. And somewhere in an office, they're counting up the shares. They call it order, call it law, call it cleaning up the street. But if you turn a life to content, what's left beneath your feet? Don't make a meme out of misery. Don't make a joke out of pain. If power can grin at suffering, it'll do it all again. We are more than the headline, more than the fear they sell. You don't get to turn our neighbors into views and still call it freedom as well. It's easy when the cameras fall, when the caption does the work, when us and them is trending fast and cruelty feels like perk. They paint the world in monster ink, so no one asks for proof, so no one sees the human heart beating under every roof. Listen, a democracy is not a hashtag. A badge is not a punchline. Due process is not optional. And the minute we cheer for humiliation, we train the machine to come for more. First for them, then for anyone who won't clap.
Welcome back. 53 minutes past the hour. Picking up your calls here. Dennis in Aptos, California. Hey, Dennis, what's on your mind today?
Yeah, hi, Tom. I wanted to talk about plastics and the use of plastics by big oil. I heard this report about this on Pacifica Radio, KPFA in Berkeley back on Monday, and it's worse than turning the oil into gasoline. It's much worse, and the number one culprit is ExxonMobil. So we've got all this fossil fuel now that is being directed toward making things out of plastic. A lot of the plastics are very toxic, of course, the chemicals used, which is why, like in Louisiana, some of these places you have these cancer clusters. Right. It's really criminal. And, there's been this push toward polyester clothing for the last 20 some odd years. And of course, there's a product that could be used instead of plastics in almost every case, and it's called hemp.
Yeah, well, and also cotton. But I mean, the polyester clothing also sheds microplastics into the air, and then you inhale them. It gets into your lungs, it gets in your bloodstream, it ends up in your brain and your organs. I would warn people against wearing polyester. I try not to. Yeah, and plastics are kind of everywhere. When Louise and I were in Antarctica, we were on a ship that was doing research into microplastics in the ocean. And they were also autopsying some of the dead animals in Antarctica. And they were finding microplastic like in the livers of seals and penguins and just the water. I mean, just pulling the water. We actually went on a boat and pulled water out of the Arctic, out of the one of these little bays in Antarctica, brought it back, ran it through a centrifuge to pull out all the stuff in it, and put it on a huge microscope, a microscope with a big screen on the side, and boom, there was all this microplastic in the water in Antarctica, for God's sake. So yeah, it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Yeah, and there's this false hope that you can create some kind of an organism that's going to eat up all this plastic. And from this report that I heard, that's just totally science fiction. It really can't be done if it ever could be done. So that's my big worry now is how big oil, they don't have to worry about all the EVs that are going to take away their gasoline sales. They've got another customer, and it's the use of plastics, especially in packaging and clothing and so on.
What's amazing to me, Dennis, is how quickly this all happened. I mean, when I was a kid, which wasn't a century ago. I mean, it was close, but it wasn't that long ago. When I was a kid, we got milk in bottles. We got if something came in something that wasn't glass, it was wax paper. The milk cartons, they were literally coated with wax, which I guess probably then was made out of petroleum too, but it wasn't plastic. It wasn't it was just the other day, Louise and I were watching an old Bewitched show. Remember that from the 60s?
Yes.
We just caught it on it popped up on the TV. And she opens, Elizabeth Montgomery, she opens the kitchen, the refrigerator door, and here's all these plastic things, the orange juice, the milk, it's all in plastic. Not plastic, excuse me, glass. It's all this glass stuff because it was the 60s.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Dennis, I got to run, but thank you for the call. We'll be back on the other side of the break with Alex Lawson. This is going to get interesting. Stick around.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann.
We've got the...
John F. Kennedy famously said, "Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country." Well, today on the final day of our winter pledge drive, that question lands right in our laps. Because this morning, our frontline funders stepped up and said, the fight is too big, the stakes are too high, let's supercharge it. So they turned today into a double match day. That means that every dollar you give is matched 2 more times. You donate $30, a frontline funder kicks in $60, turning your impact into $90. Every gift is functionally tripled, but only today. And yes, this is the moment to grab the thank you gifts we've been saving for the home stretch. $20 with a one-time gift, mystery sticker. $60 or $5 a month. You support the remote area medical through RAM contributions. $120 or $10 a month, you get a signed copy of my book, The Last American President, at a special deal, a special lower price, $120 instead of $144. $240, the virtual Thom Hartmann meet and greet. We get together on Zoom, and for $1,000, come to Portland and watch the last hour of the program sitting here in our humble studio, and I'll buy you lunch. So ask not what independent media can do for you. Ask what we can build together, especially when your donation gets tripled. Call 877-378-8669 or visit us at freespeech.org/donate.
But a call to bear the burden of a long twilight struggle, year in and year out, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, a struggle against the common enemies of man, tyranny, poverty, disease, and war itself. Can we forge against these enemies a grand and global alliance, north and south, east and west, that can assure a more fruitful life for all mankind? Will you join in that historic effort? In the long history of the world, only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger. I do not shrink from this responsibility. I welcome it. I do not believe that any of us would exchange places with any other people or any other generation. The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. My fellow citizens of the world, ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man. Finally, whether you are citizens of America or citizens of the world, ask of us here the same high standards of strength and sacrifice which we ask of you. With a good conscience, our only sure reward, with history the final judge of our deeds, let us go forth to lead the land we love, asking his blessing and his help, but knowing that here on earth, God's work must truly be our own.
Welcome back. And friends, this is it. The last day, the last push, the moment in a pledge drive where we find out who we really are. Corporate media will bend, they will buckle, they will bow to power. We've seen it. We've watched truth get treated like an inconvenience. But free speech TV, we don't answer to billionaires. We answer to you. That's why this double match day matters so much. It's a chance to say we show up for the country we believe in. We stand up for truth. We fund the media we want our kids and our grandkids to inherit. If you give $10 today, it turns into $30. If you give $50, it becomes $150. Every single act of generosity becomes 3 acts of power. So let's meet this moment the way JFK meant it. Eyes forward, shoulders squared, hands on the wheel of our own democracy. Call 877-378-8669 or go to freespeech.org/donate before the match ends at midnight. You know, John F. Kennedy famously said, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Well, today on the final day of our winter pledge drive, that question lands right in our laps. Because this morning, our frontline funders stepped up and said, you know, the fight is too big. The stakes are too high. Let's supercharge it. So they turned today into a double match day. That means that every dollar you give is matched 2 more times. You donate $30, a frontline funder kicks in $60, turning your impact into $90. Every gift is functionally tripled, but only today. And yes, this is the moment to grab the thank you gifts we've been saving for the home stretch. $20 with a one-time gift, mystery sticker. $60 or $5 a month. You support the remote area medical through RAM contributions. $120 or $10 a month. You get a signed copy of my book, The Last American President, at a special deal, a special lower price, $120 instead of $144. $240, the virtual Thom Hartmann meet and greet. We get together on Zoom, and for $1,000, come to Portland and watch the last hour of the program sitting here in our humble studio, and I'll buy you lunch. So ask not what independent media can do for you. Ask what we can build together, especially when your donation gets tripled. Call 877-378-8669 or visit us at freespeech.org/donate.
But a call to bear the burden of a long twilight struggle, year in and year out, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, a struggle against the common enemies of man, tyranny, poverty, disease, and war itself. Can we forge against these enemies a grand and global alliance, North and South, East and West, that can assure a more fruitful life for all mankind? Will you join in that historic effort? In the long history of the world, only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger. I do not shrink from this responsibility. I welcome it.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Hey, welcome to the second hour of our program. On the line with us, our buddy Alex Lawson, the president of Social Security Works, an occasional fill-in host on this program. Alex, socialsecurityworks.org, of course, is the website. A-Law 202 over on Blue Sky, our socialsecurityworks.org. Alex, welcome back to the program. So always glad to having you with us. I saw that Donald Trump is trying to quietly shut down Social Security offices all over the country. What's the deal here?
Yeah, and Tom, you know this because we've spoken about it at length. There's nothing new here. The only thing that happened is at the beginning of the administration, they came in like a bulldozer, and they did more harm to the Social Security Administration than in its entire 90-year history. But they faced vicious pushback from us, from people across, outside of D.C., Republicans, independents, Democrats, just everybody hated the attacks on Social Security because it affects people. People's benefits are being disrupted. They can't get through to a human being if they have a question or a concern. And so there was a shift in strategy from the administration. So they changed from a bulldozer, just trying to, destroy it, square on. That was more the Elon Musk, Antonio Gracias, Doge way. The goal is the same, but the Bisignano strategy seems to be one more of death by 1,000 cuts, just squeezing the life out of the Social Security Administration to make it harder for us to get our benefits that we've earned. And so their goal is still to wreck it so that they can rob it. But now Bisignano and Donald Trump are trying to hide it a bit because they realize what a political disaster that is. And that's literally, you can read reporting on how Trump's chief of staff, for political reasons, basically turned off or just told them in no uncertain terms to ease off on the attacks on Social Security. So what they're trying to do, their end goal is to actually get rid of all field offices. That was in the original memo, right? That's their North Star. So right now they're saying reduce usage by 50%. And the way they do that is they're getting rid of, they fired 7,000 workers, reduced hours. The way they're going to do that is by making it harder or impossible for the American people to get into an office, to get connected with a human, get the information that they need.
Now, my guess is that the reason for this is because a bunch of New York banksters are looking at trillions of dollars that right now is being handled by the Social Security Administration that could be handled by, Goldman Sachs or J.P. Morgan or whatever. And,
absolutely.
And they want to make Social Security so dysfunctional that people will be so pissed off that they'll say, screw it, just privatize it. I'd much rather deal with my bank.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Or to cause, a crisis, a catastrophe, where they will be like, oh, well, they caused the problem. And then they'll be like, only we can fix it. Just give us emergency powers so that we can do something. And specifically, it's that only requires 51 votes in the Senate. And that's the commission and all of these other ideas like that, which is to say something that is done behind closed doors, it's fast track, it's out of the regular order. They know that if they try to do something cutting Social Security in the sunlight, it'll just get rejected. So they are trying to be as sneaky as possible, and we are trying to expose their plots as quickly as we can. But yes, Tom, the end goal is always the same. These greedy liars on Wall Street can't stand that they don't make a single penny on Social Security, right? They can't stand that Social Security demonstrates beyond the shadow of a doubt what you can do if you keep Wall Street out of a social insurance system, if you keep politicians out, if you've, make it self-funded. That's some of the genius of FDR and the New Dealers like Francis Perkins. They really have created a system that is paid for by us. Nobody gives us anything, and then is there for us.
Yeah.
And that's what the elites can't stand, is it shows that we don't need them.
Yeah, it's single payer retirement basically, and it's, now speaking of single payer, they're trying to do the same thing to Medicare. This program what's it called, the Wiser program, that you and I talked about this back 6 months ago when they were first proposing this, but this thing is rolling out in a couple of weeks, isn't it?
It is. I will say that so Wiser is super important and to keep an eye on, to defeat, but it is actually a pilot, and we've got some great congressional allies fighting back on that. But it's actually just one piece of a much broader attack that we are not well positioned to stop, Tom. And a lot of the changes to privatize Medicare can be done from the executive, from HHS, by RFK and Dr. Oz. The reason is because they already have the legislative more than a toehold. It's, privatized Medicare now makes up over half of people receiving
the Medicare Advantage stuff.
Exactly. That's Medicare Advantage. So now they're just goosing Medicare Advantage and distorting it more and more to give it, the only advantage that Medicare Advantage gives is to the insurance companies and the billionaires. Everyone else gets delays, denials, harm, and death. But we are going to fight tooth and nail, Tom, but there's so much they can do just through the office of the executives, right? So not needing new legislation. We're going to fight them tooth and nail, but really we need people to be also fighting and taking care of themselves and understanding, they're getting inundated with these Medicare Advantage ads, and understanding that it is a con and you're risking your life if you go down that path.
Right, if you sign up for Medicare Advantage, I agree. But we have not yet explained to the people who are listening what the Wiser program is. You want to tell us about that?
Oh, yes. So Wiser is, one of a litany of bad ideas, but
it's an acronym, isn't it?
It is. The basic concept, though, is just that Medicare Advantage is private insurance. So that means that there's delays, denials, there's prior authorizations is usually how people hear about it in Medicare, in MA and Medicare Advantage. And what the Wiser program would do is allow AI to flag certain things for prior authorization. And that's just putting the ability to delay and deny care into traditional Medicare.
Right.
So that's the fundamental difference between guaranteed health care and corporate health care.
Right, and they're rolling this out as a pilot program in 6 states, where they're going to say if you live in one of those states and you're on Medicare, all of a sudden, before, every time you go to the doctor or you get a procedure or you go to the hospital or whatever, Medicare just pays the bill. And if they suspect that there's fraud, they go after the vendor on the back end. But in the future, in these 6 states, when you go to your doctor says, oh, you need an MRI, that may well be subject to pre-authorization. In other words, the hospital can't give you the MRI until Medicare says, okay, do it. Do I have that right?
Yeah, and the paperwork and the back and forth, right? And now you're going to ask, well, where do I go? Well, maybe you go to that Social Security office that they're closing, right? So it's all part of the same dissolution of the idea of a guarantee for the people, right? So they want people in a perilous situation where and someone's going to make mint off of this AI as well, right? So they want to get big tech, big insurance, big Wall Street in on Medicare as much as possible, because they know that's, they have to destroy traditional Medicare before we can expand it and then before we can improve it and then expand it to everyone. So it is a huge fight right now, Tom, but as long as we remember that even if they achieve the destruction, we just have to remember the goal is not just to fight back against the things that they have done, but to actually build a guaranteed healthcare system, Medicare for all. Right. And I think that people are seeing the Republican plan is to let you die. They don't have a healthcare plan.
Yeah, no, it's what Alan Grayson, famously said on the floor of the House years ago. The Republican plan is, number one, don't get sick. Number two, if you do get sick, die quick.
That's exact, and they're not even hiding it anymore, right? They for years,
Johnny Ernst. Everybody's going to die, right?
Everyone's going to die. But that is what they just voted for yesterday, right? The Republicans in the Senate voted against stopping people's premiums from spiking on average 200%. 24 million people in the ACA. On average, their premiums go up 200%. Right. We all know that's 5 million of them. It's going to be too much of an increase for them to afford. They're going to drop their insurance. Right. We know that means that people will get sick and people will die. That's the Republican plan.
Yeah, the math shows that for every 80 people who lose their insurance, one of them will die.
And, the policy is pretty, it's complicated, but at its root, it's basic, right? Like, if you do this, then this happens. If you remove insurance coverage, then bankruptcies go up, harm goes up, and deaths go up. That's just the way it is. So they're stealing our health care to give trillions in tax cuts to a bunch of billionaires, and that's what they will continue to do. That is their plan. Yeah,
billionaires like Donald Trump, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk. I mean, the people who control our social media and tell us what to think. It's just astonishing. Alex, other than signing up at socialsecurityworks.org, we should be reaching out to our legislators, I assume. We just have a couple seconds here.
Yeah, sign up at socialsecurityworks.org, and in mid-January, we're going to bring a fight right to everywhere across the country to fight back against the attacks on Social Security.
Good on you. Good on you. socialsecurityworks.org. Alex Lawson. Alex, thanks so much for dropping by.
Thanks, Tom.
Always great having you. We'll be back 18 minutes past the hour.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
So the FBI's Branch and Operations Director can't tell you who Antifa is or where they are. And by the way, the EU just kind of kicked Trump and Putin in the backside. And welcome back. Joe in Seattle. Hey, Joe, what's on your mind today?
Oh, hi, Tom. Hey, I just wanted to congratulate you on a perfect analogy of kicking Americans in the kneecap. And Alex Lawson just pointed out exactly that part of it. What I'm calling is the Trump criminal. I went to the website trumpcard.gov. And when I read through it, pretty much it's a $15,000 DHS processing fee, non-returnable. Then when you read a little more, it's a $1 million gift. Now, the word gift means that you're giving it as a gift. So
this is to get citizenship.
Right, to get citizenship, exactly. Then all of a sudden what pops up is the individual, you can be either a gold or a platinum or a corporate. Then it pops up on that website. Join the Trump lifestyle. You can go to one of his motels or golf courses, and for $413.57 a day per day, you can rest at his hotels, or you can go to the Trump Winery for $406.78
Wait,
a day.
is this on a government website, Joe?
Yeah, if you punch up trumpcard.gov.
Wow.
And, if you, Tom, or me was to use the government to advertise our business, wouldn't that be breaking some type of law?
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, I'm looking at this website. It's amazing. Special benefits, Trump Card Gold. Amazing.
Yeah, and even the telephone number is 855-Trump-00.
Yeah.
And then it has a strange never settle at the bottom of it. Like I don't understand why he would have never settle for what, So I mean,
no, it's just kind of his slogan.
Oh, okay, all right. But the whole thing is this has gotten so out of hand that I don't understand why our court system doesn't intercept this and say, hey, this has gone beyond even logical, Yeah,
it's certainly gone beyond ethical or moral, but arguably legal as well.
Right. So that's basically what it had. We really got hammered up here in Seattle with the rain.
You guys have got like 100,000 people who are displaced right now in Washington State. Climate change is here. It's real, and we're experiencing the consequences of it. It's no longer a theory.
Right.
Joe, I got to run, but thanks for the heads up on that. I appreciate it. We'll be back 22 minutes past the hour. Stay with us. Change starts with you. You can be calling your Democratic or Republican representatives to let them know what you think by calling 202-224-3121. It's the Capitol switchboard. It'll get you right through to them. Did you know that the ancient Roman Republic, which for 480 years was actually a democratic republic before Julius Caesar kind of ended the democracy phase and replaced it with the autocracy phase, that they were brought down by a very small group of very rich people. The richest man in ancient Rome was Marcus Licinius Crassus. He was the richest guy, the billionaire of Rome. And he frankly hated the Roman free bread for all welfare system. It was being paid for with his tax dollars, after all. So him and Pompey the Great and a few other rich guys got together, and they basically crashed Rome. They turned it into an oligarchy and then into a tyranny. And the parallels to what Trump is doing right now are absolutely shocking. There's an article about it over at HartmannReport.com titled "American Caesar: Trump's Path to Power Mirrors Rome's Darkest Days." Check it out.
The lights go dim on Epstein's file. Echoes of scandal start to compile. The chorus of headlines swirls in smoke. Truth is a victim, lies provoke. When the walls close in and no options remain, they write a script to deflect the blame. Ghosts in the wings, crowd on their toes. A conspiracy spins as the tension grows. Welcome to Trump. miss what's real. Keep the crowd on fire.
Welcome back, 25 minutes past the hour. So the FBI's branch and operations director was testifying before Congress before the Committee on Homeland Security, Benny Thompson. And Benny Thompson said, this is Michael Glasheen is his name. Benny Thompson says to Glasheen, he says, so tell us about this Antifa, because Glasheen says that's our primary concern right now. And he says, the most immediate violent threat we're facing on the domestic side. And so Thompson says, so where is this Antifa headquartered? And Glasheen says, well, what we're trying to do right now with the organization, and Thompson cuts him off and says, no, where in the United States does Antifa exist? And if it's a terrorist organization, you've identified as number one? And Glasheen says, well, we're building out the infrastructure now. I'm like, wait a minute, you're building out the infrastructure? So Thompson says, so what does that mean? You said Antifa is a terrorist organization. Tell us as a committee, how do you come to that? Where do they exist? How many members do they have in the United States right now? And Glasheen is like, I mean, he literally could not answer these questions. So in the end, Thompson says, sir, you come to this committee and say something you can't prove. Sir, you wouldn't come to this committee and say something you can't prove. I know you wouldn't do that, but you did. I mean, this is insane, what this administration, and of course it's all just so that they can come after people like you and me. Is this going to stand?
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
Antifa. My dad was Antifa. He volunteered for World War II to fight the fascists right straight out of high school. That's Antifa. You know, John F. Kennedy famously said, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Well, today on the final day of our winter pledge drive, that question lands right in our laps. Because this morning, our frontline funders stepped up and said, you know, the fight is too big. The stakes are too high. Let's supercharge it. So they turned today into a double match day. That means that every dollar you give is matched 2 more times. You donate $30, a frontline funder kicks in $60, turning your impact into $90. Every gift is functionally tripled, but only today. And yes, this is the moment to grab the thank you gifts we've been saving for the home stretch. $20 with a one-time gift, mystery sticker. $60 or $5 a month. You support the remote area medical through RAM contributions. $120 or $10 a month, you get a signed copy of my book, The Last American President, at a special deal, a special lower price, $120 instead of $144. $240, the virtual Thom Hartmann meet and greet. We get together on Zoom, and for $1,000, come to Portland and watch the last hour of the program sitting here in our humble studio, and I'll buy you lunch. So ask not what independent media can do for you. Ask what we can build together, especially when your donation gets tripled. Call 877-378-8669 or visit us at freespeech.org/donate.
But a call to bear the burden of a long twilight struggle, year in and year out, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, a struggle against the common enemies of man, tyranny, poverty, disease, and war itself. Can we forge against these enemies a grand and global alliance, north and south, east and west, that can assure a more fruitful life for all mankind? Will you join in that historic effort? In the long history of the world, only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger. I do not shrink from this responsibility. I welcome it. I do not believe that any of us would exchange places with any other people or any other generation. The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. My fellow citizens of the world, ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man. Finally, whether you are citizens of America or citizens of the world, ask of us here the same high standards of strength and sacrifice which we ask of you. With a good conscience, our only sure reward, with history the final judge of our deeds, let us go forth to lead the land we love, asking his blessing and his help, but knowing that here on earth, God's work must truly be our own.
Welcome back. And friends, this is it. The last day, the last push, the moment in a pledge drive where we find out who we really are. Corporate media will bend, they will buckle, they will bow to power. We've seen it. We've watched truth get treated like an inconvenience. But free speech TV, we don't answer to billionaires. We answer to you. That's why this double match day matters so much. It's a chance to say, we show up for the country we believe in. We stand up for truth. We fund the media we want our kids and our grandkids to inherit. If you give $10 today, it turns into $30. If you give $50, it becomes $150. Every single act of generosity becomes 3 acts of power. So let's meet this moment the way JFK meant it. Eyes forward, shoulders squared, hands on the wheel of our own democracy. Call 877-378-8669 or go to freespeech.org/donate before the match ends at midnight. Help strengthen and keep together this extraordinary community of Free Speech TV viewers. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what we can do for each other and our media right now. Share the Thom Hartmann program with your friends. Our podcast, The Hartmann Report, is absolutely free and available wherever fine podcasts are available. And the entire 3-hour podcast is available over at thomhartmann.com. Human beings have a couple of unique characteristics. The first is that we can be very tender and loving and concerned and caring toward people we perceive as being our group, us. We can also be extraordinarily violent against people that we consider to be them, if we think of them or this other as a threat. Probably the classic example of this is Adolf Hitler convincing Germans that, Jews were a threat to them and good Germans going along with the Holocaust. Well, this othering is built into our DNA. This is, ancient stuff. And the Republican Party, since the time of Nixon, when he started, picking up the white racist vote after Democrats laid it down in the 60s, the Republicans have been using this to try to other minorities in America as a political strategy. And this is really deadly stuff. There's a whole op-ed about it over at HartmannReport.com. Is othering human nature's deadliest instinct? Check it out.
Chestnuts roasting on the BPA-free stove. Jackfruit sizzling on the side. Fair trade cocoa warms us, organic cloves, and almond milk in eggnog we've tried. Everybody knows kale chips and gluten-free dough. help to make the season bright. Free-range veggies in a tofurkey show. Avoiding meats just feels so right. We say happy holidays to you.
35 minutes past the hour. Yep, happy holidays. It's that season here. It's one of my favorite seasons. I can't, I'm still a little kid, I guess, when it comes to the holiday season. All right, Europe, this is Dean Blundell over on Substack talking about this. The headline breaking, the EU just handed Ukraine $300 billion in frozen Russian assets. This is what Phil Ittner and I were talking about yesterday. We had heard that this was going to happen, but as far as either one of us knew, it had not happened at the moment that we had this conversation on the air. Well, apparently it did happen. I'm not sure if it happened before or after we had our conversation, but basically Europe walked into the global vault, the bank, and said, oh, here's $210 billion of Russian money. We are locking this up, and we're going to use it for Ukraine reconstruction, and, good luck, Russia. Now, what's so amazing about this, two things. Number one, how they did that, and I'll get to that in just a moment. And then the second is why they did that. And that's where the why they did that gets, this is the particularly mind-boggling thing. Donald Trump had put together this Russia had written this 28-point peace plan, right? And we now know that it was actually written by Russia and given to Steve Witkoff, who gave it to Donald Trump, who tried to pitch it to us. We all realized it was written by Russia, and everybody ultimately admitted it was written by Russia. And so, they kind of renegotiated this thing down in Florida and came out with this 18-point plan. Point 14 was the bombshell in the original plan. This is point 14. Basically it says that the Russian frozen assets, this $210 billion, would be used for both Moscow and Washington, D.C. to reimburse us for some of the weapons that we had sent to Ukraine and to reimburse Moscow and giving, some of the money back to Moscow. In other words, Trump wanted to grab some of Europe's money, hand Putin a cut, and then call himself a peacemaker. That's how Dean Blundell phrases it. And he writes, Europe saw that play coming a mile away and said, absolutely not. And then, so they locked up this money and they said no. And the way that they did this was by invoking Article 122 of the European Union Constitution or whatever convention, whatever it's called, which bypasses the need for all 27 countries to agree on something. Because Hungary, Viktor Orban, who has aligned himself with Moscow, just like Trump is now aligning us with Moscow, and we'll have more on that on Monday. It's even worse than you think. This is kind of a developing story. But Orban has done this. And so he was preventing the EU from acting. So they invoked Article 122, which basically says this is an emergency. This has to do with war and peace. This has to do with aggression against EU states, and the EU can act without asking for a vote. So they went ahead and did it. And now they're threatening Washington with a bond sell-off. The EU is sitting on trillions of dollars of U.S. bonds. And meanwhile, Putin's military is failing. Trump's domestic chaos is worsening. Both men still think they control the world. And Europe just said, nope, you don't. And by the way, Trump, if you don't start behaving, we're going to start selling bonds. And if Europe starts selling bonds, all hell is going to break loose. It's going to be an absolute flaming mess. So keep an eye on this. David in Olympia, Washington. Hey, David, what's on your mind today?
Hey, Tom. Really enjoyed you up in Seattle last week. That was a good kind of hopeful message that this new mayor-elect put out. I really appreciated the whole thing.
Yeah, Katie is good. Katie Wilson?
Yeah, I really didn't know much about her, but, just having somebody out there that's one of us speaking truth was great to hear.
Yeah, I was pleased to hear that even though she didn't graduate from college, she studied physics. I mean, this is one smart lady. So
is a smart lady. Yeah,
God
that
bless
came
her.
across first thing. Yeah. Hey, I wanted to run an idea about the Supreme Court by you to see if it's totally crazy or not, because I hadn't heard it anywhere else. And my idea was, we have about, something around 700 federal judges already. And we have this Supreme Court that sometimes is great and sometimes is absolutely, awful.
I can't think of the last time they were great, but keep going, David.
Yeah, exactly. It was a lottery system. I didn't see this anywhere else in the world. But I wondered, we already have all these judges. We pay about 700 of them. What if when a case needs to go to the Supreme Court, if a lottery was pulled and we yank 5 of our already sitting federal justices totally at random to come and hear the case?
A sortition
there wouldn't be
system.
that whole judge shopping thing that happens. And it would also change how people, the people who do take cases to the Supreme Court or appeal to them, whether or not they would, because there's no guarantee who's going to be sitting on the bench.
I like it. I like the idea. It's not provided for by the Constitution, which is the big problem. But
you wouldn't have to necessarily fire the Supreme Court justices. They just become federal justices again.
Yeah.
And the lottery system seems like it could be set up pretty transparently. I mean, then the president doesn't have a say, and politicians don't have a say, and it's
the way you would do it is well, first of all, Congress has the power under Article 3, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution. Congress has the power to regulate the Supreme Court. So Congress, so rather than doing it, here's the path for a litigant, you do it, here's the path for a judge. And so what Congress should do is say, everybody's talking about like an 18-year term limit for Supreme Court justices. You could make it even shorter than that. Although I think a fairly long term is probably a good thing. But you put in a term limit, and then so when your term expires, then you could use a sortition kind of system. That's like jury duty. It's
exactly.
To move appeals court judges, presumably that you probably want to pull from that group into
a smaller pool, though.
Yeah, it is a smaller pool. You're right, a much smaller pool into the Supreme Court, and you would still have to have the Senate involved in approving them. So there still will be a partisan aspect to this, depending on who controls the Senate. And this is where the Republican strategy of, buying media properties in low population states, in the mountain states and in the Midwest, back in they started in the 80s and ran for 30 years. And they ended up basically every television station and every radio station in most of these states, Montana, Utah, Oklahoma, Wyoming, every single one of them. They're all, with the North and South Dakota, Iowa, they're all run by right-wing billionaires or owned by right-wing billionaires. The right-wing radio stations, the TV stations, Sinclair and whatnot. And that's how they flipped all those states red, is by controlling the media. And so the Republican, that gives Republicans a huge advantage in the Senate, because a state with 600,000 people like Wyoming has the same number of senators as a state with 30 million, 34 million, I think it is in California. I could be wrong, but it's a lot. And it might be 20-something million. And so they'll continue to do that, but it would be a good step in the right direction. And I suspect that, it'll probably be 3 years down the road, but the next time Democrats are firmly in charge, like they were in 2021, this should be at the very top of their list, is regulating the Supreme Court. I'm with you, David. David, thank you very much. Excellent idea. It is just about 45 minutes past the hour. We'll be in just a couple seconds. We'll be back with more of your calls in 60 seconds. Stay with us.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
We'll be right back. Stay tuned. welcome back. Alvin in Greeley, Colorado. Hey, Alvin, what's on your mind today? Thanks for watching Free Speech.
Hi, Tom. Good to talk to you. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
I wanted to let you know I'm reading The Nazi Mind. You had the author on last week.
Yep, isn't that a great
book? It's really good.
Yeah.
Yes. The reason I'm calling, today in the history column, it was 25 years ago today that the Supreme Court stopped the Florida recount and made Bush the winner. And, you know, when you think about it, everything we're experiencing today was a direct result of that. I do not believe Trump would be president. Bush, because Bush was made president, he put Roberts and Alito on the Supreme Court, which gave us the Citizens United, the gutting of the Voting Rights Act, the southern states passing voter suppression laws. Everything we're experiencing is because those 5 Republicans they denied us our rightful president.
And, you know, Sandra Day O'Connor, who was one of those 5 Republicans, wanted to retire because her husband had Alzheimer's and she wanted to go home and care for her husband. And, you know, which is kind of a noble thing. But she told a friend that she voted to make George Bush president because she wanted a Republican to choose her replacement. She did not want a Democrat to she didn't want Al Gore. Right. She didn't want Al Gore to be picking her replacement, which is, I mean, that has to have shattered, in my mind, that destroyed her legacy, you know, as the first woman on the Supreme Court. And it was just
horrific. Dementia.
She did?
But, you know, everything we're experiencing, because they decided to put their thumb on the scale, it's just wrong.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, it truly is.
Thank you.
It really and truly is. Thank you, Alvin. Good to hear from you. Appreciate it. David in Minnetonka, Minnesota. Hey, David, what's on your mind today? David, watch this on YouTube in Minnesota, in Minnetonka.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay, good. Tom, I'm going to start just by saying quickly, I know you find this tiresome on occasion, but I want to thank you so much for what you do. You are such a gift to our country and to democracy.
Thank you, David.
But anyhow, real quick, I'm calling with an Anything Goes Friday. I'm just wondering what your strategy is for getting to truthful news, to good news. There's so much fake news out there. There's so much static. Even YouTube has such quality stuff and then such junk that's just nuts. It's fake.
There's a handful of sites that I read every day, you know, that are not in mainstream media. I read Democratic Underground. I read Daily Kos, KOS.com, DemocraticUnderground.com, commondreams.org, rawstory.com, alternate.org. Those are the websites that I go to for solid news. And
okay,
and
I couldn't write that fast, but it sounds, I got some of them.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and a lot of the content, you know, what you hear on this program, you know, I plagiarize is the wrong word, but I'm inspired by those sites, shall we say?
Certainly,
so, yeah.
certainly.
So Daily Kos and Democratic Underground and Common Dreams and opednews.com is another one that Rob Call owns. That's a good site. So, David, thank you very much. Good talking to you. It's 49 and a half minutes past the hour. I'll be back with you in 1 minute. Hey, thanks so much for sharing our program and for reaching out to our stations and sponsors and letting them know that you're listening. It really means a lot to us. Well, it's the brand new Confederate States of America, plantation politics. You know, the old Confederate States, today known as MAGA America, the new Confederate States, were devoted to making America as white as possible, stripping women and minorities of political and economic power, gutting workers' rights, rigging election outcomes, their leaders nakedly taking bribes, using the phony veneer of Christianity to justify brutal policies, including slavery, making queer people invisible, reconfiguring schools for indoctrination, having their militias terrorize minorities and their opponents, and maintaining a government of, by, and for rich white men. And these are the principles, the core principles around which the modern-day GOP has reorganized itself. You can find an entire article about this that lays the whole thing out over at HartmannReport.com. It's titled "The Plantation Politics of MAGA America. Is this the future we want?" Check it out.
He said just day one, but we knew the score. Now he's sending troops to settle old score. From LA streets to the Capitol's dome, he's making this land feel less like home. He's a dictator with a MAGA crown, turning our freedoms upside down. Laughs off the laws, says it's just a game, but democracy's torch is losing its flame.
51 minutes past the hour. Welcome back. Picking up your calls here. Mike in El Paso, Texas. Hey, Mike, what's up?
Hello. Thanks for taking my call, Tom. I wanted to make a few points, but the most important one is about the EEOC, but I also wanted to bring attention to the 17 prairie land defendants that are getting railroaded right now for like protesting. They're being accused of being like Antifa or something. Like, yeah, people should look that up.
Is this in Texas?
Show some support. Yeah, around DFW, Alvarado, Texas.
Okay.
But,
and what about the Equal Opportunity Employment Commission? Or is that a different EEOC?
No, that's the one. I heard Trump fired some of the top people in there, but since I got terminated back in April of 2024, and they've been ignoring me ever since, right? They even got kind of hostile. But
have you reached out to your member of Congress?
No.
They have the people called they're typically called constituent services. They have people on their staffs who are paid for with your and my tax dollars, whose only job is to help you navigate, to help people in their district or in their state, if you call your senators, navigate these kinds of problems with the federal government.
Okay, thanks for the info. But yeah.
And even if you have a Republican representing you, he or she should be able to do that.
Okay, I think Veronica Escobar is my representative, or I think that's it.
Reach out to her office.
I basically find out that I read the law, and the law says you're not supposed to pay people like more because of, like, for example, if they're a white guy, you're not supposed to pay them more than the Hispanics or the blacks, right? But this keeps happening here at this company I used to work at, with around 35 trucks over the road. So, I mean, and it's hard to find out how much everybody gets paid because they keep it secret, right?
Well, the government can come in and demand that information. Mike, I strongly suggest that you reach out to if it's Escobar, reach out to her office and ask for some help. And I wish you the best of luck with it. Ray, thank you for the call. Ray in Lancaster, California. Hey, Ray, what's up?
Hi, Tom. Happy holidays to you and your family.
Thank you. Back at
you. I wanted to. Sure, thank you. I want to bounce something off of you. See what you think. I'm really curious, Tom. Those six right-wing extreme justices on the Supreme Court who failed to rein Trump in. I'm just wondering if they're so coward that they're just giving Trump enough rope to hang himself, and they'll let the people finally vote him out after they've done all of this damage. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, because these right-wing justices gave Trump immunity, I'm just wondering, is it just because they're too coward to rein him in? So are they just giving him enough rope to hang himself?
No, I think they believe in this unitary executive theory that that the president is more or less a king in the United States. Now, that's clearly not what the founders believed. They were into Montesquieu's idea of, checks and balances and all that sort of thing.
Sure.
But I think that I just think they want what the right-wing billionaires who put them on the Supreme Court want. It's just that simple.
It's amazing, and which is just not good for America in the long run. Suppressing,
it's bad for America. It's explicitly bad.
It's bad for America.
Yeah.
But Bernie has got it right. He just, I respect him so much. He's so wise. He understands that economics, a happy society, is going to be a more productive society, and even those greedy people will do well. You can't starve a society and expect to thrive in the long run. It's just not logical.
Yep.
It doesn't make sense.
Yep. Well, that was FDR's argument too. He famously said, "A necessitous man is not a free man. If you're hungry, you're not free. If you're homeless, you're not free. If you need medical care and you can't get it, you're not free." And his whole agenda was a freedom agenda based on providing people with the basics of life. And I think it's just go ahead.
Yeah, oh, no, I'm sorry, Tom, to cut you off, but I'm agreeing 100%. It's just so logical. They would even be happier, and they would get the recognition for people being happy. It's almost like a sickness. Why starve America and be greedy? It's going to hurt you in the long run.
It is a sickness, Ray.
The leaders are going to. It's going to make sure their society is happy.
It's a psychopathic greed. Just sucking up to the morbidly rich. I get it. Ray, thank you so much for the call. Nice to hear from you, and happy holidays. We'll be back on the other side of the break. ICE agents wrongfully detained a U.S. citizen in Minneapolis. Why? He looked Somali. What the hell does that mean? I'll tell you right after the break.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann.
John F. Kennedy famously said, "Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country." Well, today on the final day of our winter pledge drive, that question lands right in our laps. Because this morning, our frontline funders stepped up and said, the fight is too big. The stakes are too high. Let's supercharge it. So they turned today into a double match day. That means that every dollar you give is matched 2 more times. You donate $30, a frontline funder kicks in $60, turning your impact into $90. Every gift is functionally tripled, but only today. And yes, this is the moment to grab the thank you gifts we've been saving for the home stretch. $20 with a one-time gift, mystery sticker. $60 or $5 a month. You support the remote area medical through RAM contributions. $120 or $10 a month, you get a signed copy of my book, The Last American President, at a special lower price, $120 instead of $144. $240, the virtual Thom Hartmann meet and greet. We get together on Zoom, and for $1,000, come to Portland and watch the last hour of the program sitting here in our humble studio, and I'll buy you lunch. So ask not what independent media can do for you. Ask what we can build together, especially when your donation gets tripled. Call 877-378-8669 or visit us at freespeech.org/donate.
But a call to bear the burden of a long twilight struggle, year in and year out, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, a struggle against the common enemies of man, tyranny, poverty, disease, and war itself. Can we forge against these enemies a grand and global alliance, north and south, east and west, that can assure a more fruitful life?
John F. Kennedy famously said, "Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country." Well, today on the final day of our winter pledge drive, that question lands right in our laps. Because this morning, our frontline funders stepped up and said, the fight is too big. The stakes are too high. Let's supercharge it. So they turned today into a double match day. That means that every dollar you give is matched 2 more times. You donate $30, a frontline funder kicks in $60, turning your impact into $90. Every gift is functionally tripled, but only today. And yes, this is the moment to grab the thank you gifts we've been saving for the home stretch. $20 with a one-time gift, mystery sticker. $60 or $5 a month. You support the remote area medical through RAM contributions. $120 or $10 a month. You get a signed copy of my book, The Last American President, at a special deal, a special lower price, $120 instead of $144. $240, the virtual Thom Hartmann meet and greet. We get together on Zoom, and for $1,000, come to Portland and watch the last hour of the program sitting here in our humble studio, and I'll buy you lunch. So ask not what independent media can do for you. Ask what we can build together, especially when your donation gets tripled. Call 877-378-8669 or visit us at freespeech.org/donate.
But a call to bear the burden of a long twilight struggle, year in and year out, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, a struggle against the common enemies of man, tyranny, poverty, disease, and war itself. Can we forge against these enemies a grand and global alliance, north and south, east and west, that can assure a more fruitful life for all mankind? Will you join in that historic effort? In the long history of the world, only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger. I do not shrink from this responsibility. I welcome it. I do not believe that any of us would exchange places with any other people or any other generation. The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. My fellow citizens of the world, ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man. Finally, whether you are citizens of America or citizens of the world, ask of us here the same high standards of strength and sacrifice which we ask of you. With a good conscience, our only sure reward, with history the final judge of our deeds, let us go forth to lead the land we love, asking his blessing and his help, but knowing that here on earth, God's work must truly be our own.
Welcome back. And friends, this is it. The last day, the last push, the moment in a pledge drive where we find out who we really are. Corporate media will bend, they will buckle, they will bow to power. We've seen it. We've watched truth get treated like an inconvenience. But Free Speech TV, we don't answer to billionaires. We answer to you. That's why this double match day matters so much. It's a chance to say, we show up for the country we believe in. We stand up for truth. We fund the media we want our kids and our grandkids to inherit. If you give $10 today, it turns into $30. If you give $50, it becomes $150. Every single act of generosity becomes 3 acts of power. So let's meet this moment the way JFK meant it. Eyes forward, shoulders squared, hands on the wheel of our own democracy. Call 877-378-8669 or go to freespeech.org/donate before the match ends at midnight. Help strengthen and keep together this extraordinary community of Free Speech TV viewers. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what we can do for each other and our media right now.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Welcome to the third hour of our program. You'll recall in the first hour I was talking about how, or maybe it was the second hour, how the EU basically said to Russia, good luck, guys, we're taking your money. And they froze $210 billion in assets. And you're using part of that to give a $90 billion loan to Ukraine. Russia, according to the Financial Times, I just saw this, the headline, Russia sues Euroclear over frozen assets. And Russia's central bank has filed a lawsuit in Moscow seeking damages from Brussels-based depository Euroclear for freezing its sovereign assets. And this, well, the next paragraph, this move opens the door for Russia to seize Euroclear's 17 billion euros of assets in the country, seek further damages from the country and other jurisdictions, and find other lawsuits. This is going to get interesting. The central bank said it would unconditionally challenge efforts to immobilize its assets. So, you know, maybe this is not a done deal. Keep an eye on this. Meanwhile, in Minneapolis, this is just an astonishing story. This is from the Mirror, you know, the British paper. I don't know why, maybe it was, that I just missed it, why this was not at the top of American newspapers, but I'll just share it with you straight up. An article by Anthony Orico. Minneapolis city leaders are speaking out about immigration and customs enforcement ICE operations in the city after agents detained a U.S. citizen because he, quote, looked Somali. And so the fellow only wanted to be identified by his first name, which is Mubashir. And he said, quote, he was on his lunch break Tuesday afternoon when a masked man ran at him full speed and tackled him in a Cedar Riverside restaurant. He said, quote, the agent then at one point, he never identified himself. He didn't say, ICE, stop. I felt like I was getting assaulted. I was getting kidnapped, and that's exactly what it was. The 20-year-old said he insisted to the man that he was a U.S. citizen and offered to show him his passport. He said he was put in a headlock by the ICE agent and put into a vehicle. A video taken by a bystander of the incident was played during the news conference. Mubashir said he was held in custody at a federal building several miles away from the scene and was later released after being allowed to present his passport hours later. He says, I asked them, can you take me back where you picked me up? And they said, no, you have to walk in the snow. So the chief of police for the city of Minneapolis, Brian O'Hara, showed up at the press conference and said to this young man, this 22-year-old young man, he said, I apologize for this happening to you in my city with people wearing vests that say police. That's embarrassing. And then the mayor, Jacob Fry, said that following the incident, he began coordinating a legal strategy with mayors and governors across the country. This is interesting. Governor Tim Walz sent a letter to Kristi Noem, the puppy killer, you know, who's in charge of Homeland Security, saying the forcefulness, lack of communication, and unlawful practices displayed by your agents will not be tolerated in Minnesota. This is what the DHS calls Operation Metro Surge. I think this is, you know, in my opinion, what's going on here is not just Trump trying to satisfy his racist base and make America white again by deporting as many black and brown people as he possibly can. I think they're also softening us up. I think they're trying to get us ready for the idea that you can have masked secret police on the streets and they can tackle anybody they want and drag them anywhere they want without any consequence. We don't know who they are. The ICE refuses to tell us who they are. They're refusing to let members of Congress into their detention facilities to do inspections. I mean, this is not America. This is not how America should operate. This is Russia. This is Trump creating an agency that resembles the Russian FSB. This is how they do it in Russia. You know, there was that famous video of the woman who was standing outside the Kremlin with a blank piece of paper, right? They made it illegal to hold signs that talked back to Putin. So she was holding a blank piece of paper, and she was tackled by secret police. Only in Russia, they don't even mask themselves. I mean, this is apparently an invention of Kristi Noem, I guess. Greg Bovino, I'm not sure. Thom Hartmann. But can you think of any country in the world where their police wear masks? No, you may not know. And refuse to identify themselves? No name, no badge number? This is not America. And like I said, I think they're trying to get us used to this so that when Trump decides that he's going to go after Antifa, in quotes, in scare quotes, which is you and me, that they'll just move from going after black and brown people to going after people like you and me. Meanwhile, Donald Trump signed an executive order on Thursday. This is that will prevent states from trying to regulate AI. Now, his argument is that you can't have 50 states regulating an industry. You actually can. It happens all the time. Take the auto industry, for example. California has very different standards than the rest of the country. And so basically the auto industry said, okay, we'll meet California's standards, which then became the national standards. You have, different pollution standards in different states. You have different gun ownership standards in different states. I mean, it's not uncommon to have different regulated industries regulated in different ways in different states. It's a common thing. It's all based on, Articles 9 and 10 of the Constitution, or amendments rather, that basically say that, any powers not given to the federal government are given to the states, and any not given to the federal government or the states are given to the people. Now, Republicans in the Senate had tried to pass a 10-year moratorium on state laws that was similar to Trump's executive order, and it failed in the Senate. It failed 99-1. So what Trump is arguing here on behalf of the tech bros, he's got a bunch of tech bros in his little circle. Probably David Sachs is the most prominent. He's the AI czar in the Trump administration. Part of the old PayPal mafia, him and Elon Musk and David and Peter Thiel, who, by the way, I don't know if you've seen the very last of the season of the South Park. Satan's having a baby, and Trump and Vance are trying to kill the baby, and they're trying to break Peter Thiel and Whiskey Pete Hegseth out of jail because they've been jailed in South Park, and it's just wild. If you don't just watch the last episode, watch the ones that precede it. Watch them in order. They're just hysterical. But that's the old PayPal mafia, and it looks like they're completely in charge of this administration. The executive director of the Tech Oversight Project, Sasha Haworth, said, quote, "The Trump-Sachs executive order proves that the White House only listens to powerful big tech CEOs who fund ballrooms rather than the everyday people they pretend to serve. It puts the Trump administration at odds with over 2/3 of Americans and his AI skeptic MAGA base." So there you go. Wild times at Ridgemont High or something like that. I mean, this White House is being run like Trump is an emperor. 99-1, the Senate says, no, we're not going to do this. And Trump says, well, I'll do it. The tech bros are going to get what they want. They're billionaires after all, and they help fund Republican campaigns in a big way. Incredible. Bob Kennedy is up to no good. I'll tell you about that after the break.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
And did he really do pull-ups at that airport thing with, with our reality star FAA head? And welcome back. Tricia in Wooddale, Illinois. Hey, Tricia, thanks for watching us on YouTube. What's on your mind today?
Hi, Tom. I really like it when you have Alex on, but what I was waiting for him to tell us about is the alternative policy to Medicare Advantage, which is what people should have. Nobody knows about it anymore. It's called a Medigap policy.
Right. It fills in the 20% hole in Medicare that was put there by the racists in 1965.
Exactly. And when you watch these TV commercials, if you read the fine print or read the fine print in the advertisements you get in the mail, it says not endorsed or affiliated by any government. It's not contracted with the government. Medigap is. Anything that Medicare covers, Medigap policy has to pay the rest.
Yeah, they're heavily regulated, right down to what they can charge you.
Right, but nobody ever talks about Medigap anymore. People don't know when you call your insurance company, ask for a Medigap policy.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, they're just going to absolutely give you Medicare Advantage.
You're absolutely right, Tricia. And the other thing is that if you go on Medicare Advantage for more than 12 months, if you have never done that, when you sign up for Medicare, for real Medicare, and you get a Medigap policy, the price they can charge you is regulated by the federal government. They cannot charge you more if you have a chronic condition, for example. But if you're off real Medicare for more than a year, then when you apply and you decide to go back to real Medicare, if you get suckered into buying one of these Medicare Advantage policies and then you decide to try to go back, if it's more than a year, the Medigap providers then can do what's called underwriting. They can look at your medical history and they can charge you more. So,
that's right.
Be careful. Be real careful. Tricia, you just did a public service. Thank you so much for the call and for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Okay.
I just want to say, to anybody who did get a Medicare Advantage plan this time around, you have 30 days to cancel that contract. You can go back and still get a Medigap policy.
There you go. And real Medicare. Yeah, you have to sign up for that.
Yes.
Thank you, Tricia. Thank you. Alfredo in Mountain View, California. Hey, Alfredo, what's up?
Hey, Tom. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Back at you.
Yeah, I love that Luis vegan holiday song. It's excellent. Turkey and almond milk, yes.
There you go. That's our house.
Yeah. So I just wanted to make a quick point about my sense on the next coming elections. I think, and you were talking about this, I think a lot of Trump voters are not going to vote for him. He's losing his base.
Yes, he is.
Look at the farmers. The farmers are pissed off at this guy.
Yep.
Look what happened in Tennessee. Many Republican lawmakers are beginning to revolt against this guy.
And Indiana.
Indiana, I'm sorry. Yeah, correct, yeah. So my sense is, the next elections are going to be, I'm hopeful. I think it's going to be really, really good. I'm beginning to feel good about this.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think so. I agree. And in fact, I wrote an op-ed, I think it was maybe a week ago, Monday, saying that I am, for the first time, really seriously, genuinely optimistic. I see the worm turning here. And
one more thing quickly, Tom. Occasionally I send you vegan health news. I don't know if you get them or not, but when you get a chance, see if you can read them. But they're really good. But thank you for everything you're doing. You're keeping everybody, giving everybody hope.
Great. Thank you, Alfredo. Nice talking to you.
Yeah.
And happy holidays.
Bye-bye.
19 and a half minutes past the hour. Back with you in 60 seconds. Stay tuned. Missed my opening rant today? It's usually published over at HartmannReport.com, where you can read it and share it with your friends for free. Check it out, HartmannReport.com. It's the great revenge. Trump's Orwellian America is taking shape. The key to it was this insane executive order titled Ending the Weaponization of the Federal Government. And basically what it does is it sets up the weaponization of the federal government. It proclaims that the Biden administration was, using the Justice Department to go after Trump people and Republicans, and it does it in a way that basically rationalizes they're doing the same thing. This is a absolute danger to our republic, this executive order and Trump's assertions around it. And you can read all about it. There's a whole op-ed about it titled "The Great Revenge, Trump's Orwellian America Takes Shape" over at HartmannReport.com. Get ready for the investigations, the arrests, and the show trials. HartmannReport.com. Check it out.
Yeah. They meet behind closed doors, late night in a quiet room, talking about peace like a business, while the bad deals bloom. Suit coat, steady smiles, pen scratching slow, but the truth ain't on the mind, where the people can know. It's sold in the fine print, hidden from the light, pouring money on the table while they swear they're doing right, and the news just rolls on like it's nothing at all. But the country starts breaking when the watchdogs don't bark. Yeah, peace shouldn't pay, but it's sold in the fine print anyway.
22 minutes past the hour. Welcome back. So in 2000, the year 2000, we ended measles in the United States. Measles is a terrible disease. Most of us, my age anyway, had it as kids. This was before there was a vaccine available. Now there is. And people died from measles. I had a friend who was deaf because of measles. People lose their vision because of it. There's all kinds of side effects. You get encephalitis. You can get brain damage. It causes ear infections, bronchitis, laryngitis, croup. All kinds of side effects. Measles is not a small thing, particularly if you're older. And that's why there's this MMRI vaccine, the measles, mumps, rubella, or MMR is the vaccine, that people get or children get, when they're very young. And it's a series of 2 shots given, I believe, a year apart. Maybe it's 2 years. I could be wrong. But because in 1965, President Kennedy signed the Vaccination Assistance Act into law, which provided federal funding to make sure that basically anybody who had a baby could get that baby vaccinated without having to pay a whole, fortune for it. We wiped out measles. We wiped out polio. We're on the verge of wiping out other diseases too. But then came, Bob Kennedy and his, little merry band of quacks who are out there, spreading doubt and, about vaccines, basically. And, this is just wild what's going on now. Thanks to a political party that thinks science and research are either a hoax, a Democratic plot, or a money grab by drug companies. It used to be that you had to travel outside the United States to get measles. Now you can get measles here in the United States. In 2025, Texas, this is from Daily Kos, by the way, by the Critical Mind. In 2025, Texas, New Mexico, and Oklahoma are ground zero for unnecessary infections. By July, the Associated Press reported that, quote, the U.S. is having its worst year for measles in more than 3 decades. And the infection is spreading. This is what the Washington Post writes, quote, measles outbreaks are growing along the Utah-Arizona border and in South Carolina, where hundreds are in quarantine. Between Friday and Tuesday, this is last week, South Carolina health officials confirmed 27 new measles cases in an outbreak in and around northwestern Spartanburg County. In 2 months, 111 people have been sickened by the vaccine-preventable virus. This is the most contagious virus that causes human disease that is known, is measles. It's like, if you're not vaccinated and you are just walking by somebody with measles, you get it. It's just, back to the Washington Post, more than 250 people, including students from 9 area elementary, middle, and high schools, are in quarantine, some for the second time since the outbreak began. And here's the kicker. Most of the state's new cases stemmed from exposures at Way of Truth Church in Inman, South Carolina. So you've got, of the 111 measles cases recorded in that area, known as the upstate region, 105 involved people who were unvaccinated, and 3 involved people who were only partially vaccinated. 1 vaccine gives you 93% protection. 2 shots gives you 97% protection. So here we now have not just, quack lawyers like Bob Kennedy trying to pretend they're medical authorities, although he's in charge of our entire medical apparatus now in the United States. This is what happens when you put an insane billionaire in charge of the country. He brings in other crazy people, number one. But, number two, we also have these churches now, and this has been going on for a while, that are saying, oh, you don't need vaccines, you just need prayer. Just believe in God. Well, I have no problem with prayer and believing in God. They're both, things that I subscribe to. But replacing vaccines? I mean, come on. If you're that skeptical of science, stop driving your car. It's just, the hydraulic system is science. The engine is science. The battery is science. I mean, it's all, seriously? We are, this is a guy who his entire life was a failure, Bob Kennedy. He was a heroin addict. He went through all these women, to the point that his wife committed suicide after she read his diary. He's pumped up on steroids. This is the guy who's telling us how to be healthy? Seriously?
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 202-808-9925.
I cannot wait for this administration to be out of office. 27 minutes past the hour. What's on your mind? I'll pick up your calls right after this. John F. Kennedy famously said, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Well, today on the final day of our winter pledge drive, that question lands right in our laps. Because this morning, our frontline funders stepped up and said, the fight is too big. The stakes are too high. Let's supercharge it. So they turned today into a double match day. That means that every dollar you give is matched 2 more times. You donate $30, a frontline funder kicks in $60, turning your impact into $90. Every gift is functionally tripled, but only today. And yes, this is the moment to grab the thank you gifts we've been saving for the home stretch. $20 with a one-time gift, mystery sticker. $60 or $5 a month. You support the remote area medical through RAM contributions. $120 or $10 a month, you get a signed copy of my book, The Last American President, at a special deal, a special lower price, $120 instead of $144. $240, the virtual Thom Hartmann meet and greet. We get together on Zoom, and for $1,000, come to Portland and watch the last hour of the program sitting here in our humble studio, and I'll buy you lunch. So ask not what independent media can do for you. Ask what we can build together, especially when your donation gets tripled. Call 877-378-8669 or visit us at freespeech.org/donate.
But a call to bear the burden of a long twilight struggle, year in and year out, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, a struggle against the common enemies of man, tyranny, a grand and global alliance, north and south, east and west, that can assure a more fruitful life for all mankind. Will you join in that historic effort? In the long history of the world, only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger. I do not shrink from this responsibility. I welcome it. I do not believe that any of us would exchange places with any other people or any other generation. The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. My fellow citizens of the world, ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man. Finally, whether you are citizens of America or citizens of the world, ask of us here the same high standards of strength and sacrifice which we ask of you. With a good conscience, our only sure reward, with history the final judge of our deeds, let us go forth to lead the land we love, asking his blessing and his help, but knowing that here on earth, God's work must truly be our own.
Welcome back. And friends, this is it. The last day, the last push, the moment in a pledge drive where we find out who we really are. Corporate media will bend, they will buckle, they will bow to power. We've seen it. We've watched truth get treated like an inconvenience. But free speech TV, we don't answer to billionaires. We answer to you. That's why this double match day matters so much. It's a chance to say, we show up for the country we believe in. We stand up for truth. We fund the media we want our kids and our grandkids to inherit. If you give $10 today, it turns into $30. If you give $50, it becomes $150. Every single act of generosity becomes 3 acts of power. So let's meet this moment the way JFK meant it. Eyes forward, shoulders squared, hands on the wheel of our own democracy. Call 877-378-8669 or go to freespeech.org/donate before the match ends at midnight. Help strengthen and keep together this extraordinary community of Free Speech TV viewers. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what we can do for each other and our media right now. Help support progressive radio. If you're listening to us on a commercial station, call their advertisers and let them know you're listening. If you're listening to us on Pacifica, or one of our many nonprofit stations, please support them when they do their fundraising drives. Thanks for supporting Progressive Talk Radio and tag you're it. A lot of people wonder, where did this whole right-wing movement to basically gut our freedoms and end DEI and all this other, where did this all begin? It all started back in 1951 with a book called The Conservative Mind, From Burke to Eliot by Russell Kirk. And he argued that if the middle class ever got too big, you'd see young people and women and racial minorities all get up on their hind feet and start protesting and basically screwing up America. And in the 50s, you know, even Republicans thought he was nuts. But then the 60s happened and all those protests. And suddenly Republicans thought, yeah, he's right. We've got to destroy the middle class, or at least cut it back. And that was Reagan's mandate when he came into office in 1981. There's a whole article about this. You can read all the details. It's titled The GOP's 60-Year Conspiracy to Kill Our Democracy. None dare call it treason, but I will. Over at HartmannReport.com. Check it out.
feels heavy lately, and the nights are growing long. But candles glow in windows, and they lift us with their song. The snowfall whispers softly, like a promise in the air, that even in the hardest times, the holidays bring care. There's hope in the winter air tonight, a gentle spark that's glowing bright. Through every storm and burn and share, the light of Christmas finds us there. We take a breath, we lift our eyes, and somehow love begins to rise. In troubled times we still can find some hope in the winter air.
36 minutes past the hour. Welcome back. Picking up your calls here. What's on your mind today? Bob in Joliet, Illinois. Hey, Bob, what's up?
Good afternoon, Tom. Pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you. Back at you.
Previous segment, you guys were talking about Social Security and Medicare, and January 1st, right around the corner, how everybody on the ACA is going to be either paying through the nose or losing their coverage altogether.
Right.
And a woman chimed in and said that the rest of us are going to have to make up the difference. Well, I'm here to tell you, it's already here. My wife and I'm retired. I'm the same age as you. I'm 75. And my wife is 69. We have both had pretty serious health issues in the past, and God knows what the future might hold. That said, we received a notice from our, can I mention a company by chance?
Sure.
We're on standard Medicare. Mm-hmm. Our medical supplement is through Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. Mm-hmm. Our RX plan is through them as well. Mm-hmm. We received a notice in late September, early October, that RX plan was being terminated. Period. Gone. And it was a very good plan, cost us very little out of pocket. Mm-hmm. The options going forward, one of them was going to raise our rates about 100%. The other one bumps it 130%.
Yeah.
That's above what we were already paying. So and given our history, we couldn't really risk not having everything available to us. So we opted for the more expensive plan. Luckily, we are in a position to where we can afford to pay it.
Right.
A lot of people sadly can't. I'm just bringing this up because I think a lot of people are of the illusion that this is only affecting people on the ACA and other like-minded people, right. And that's not the case.
You're right, Bob.
We have already, January 1st, we are going to be paying 130% more above what we were already paying in the past.
Wow. And that's for your Medigap, or that's for your drug policy.
Yeah, that's just simply for our drug policy, and typically our rates change on our supplement April of every year. Yeah. So I'm scared to death to see what's going to happen with that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we need a single-payer health care plan like every other developed country in the world has. We would spend literally half as much on health care as a nation, and we would get better results, and we would live longer. But the problem is we've got a bunch of blood-sucking parasites called health insurance companies and for-profit hospitals and medical practices that have inserted themselves between you and me and our physicians. And it's a crime. It is literally killing people. I mean, this is why Wendell Potter left his job at Aetna. He was like, I think it was Aetna. He was like, if they had denied somebody that he knew a liver transplant, and she died, as a teenager. And he was just furious. Wow. And he was the guy who was supposed to, put a friendly face on it for the media. He was their PR guy. And he just said, that's it, I'm out of here. And so he's got this great newsletter over on Substack. But I'm with you, Bob, and thank you for the heads up on that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, because frankly, even on your show, I've heard very few others out there touch on this. I mean, it's not just the ACA folks. It's all of us. And like I say, we are already getting...
No, and these Medigap plans are absurdly expensive also. I mean, Louise and I are spending, between the two of us, a little over $7,000 a year just for the Medigap plans.
Sure.
And again, that should be crazy. I mean, in Canada, you pay $100 to $200 a month, and it covers everything.
Right.
I mean, it's like pretty much everything. I mean, there are still some exceptions, but it could be done so easily. It's just the problem is we've got a bunch of people who are making a pile of money, and the Supreme Court has given them the power to buy politicians, and it's a crime.
Yeah.
Bob, I got to run, but thank you for that, and happy holidays. Michael in Bronx, New York. Hey, Michael, what's up?
Hey, goodbye. Happy holidays as well.
Thank you.
I have to give super duper kudos to the Democrats in Congress that were grilling the crap out of Kristi Noem, out of these other Trump associates, because they said that in so many words, they're lying and they're committing crimes.
Yep.
They are breaking the laws.
Yep.
And I'm like, to those individuals, Noem, Trump, and the like, don't give me this law and order crap when you are breaking the law, and don't be accusing us of stuff in which you're doing to cover the fact that you guys are committing the atrocities. I've said that many times because I've seen the pattern. I think what's going to stop all this madness is when all of those people, including Trump, start being thrown into the slammer. I don't mean thrown literally, for any MAGA that's listening that's starting to fire off the handle right now. Because let's face facts. If you, Tom, or I, or any of the previous great callers did just a fraction of what Trump, Noem, and so forth have been doing, we will already be standing behind bars.
Yeah.
Make no mistake about that.
Yeah, I
so
don't
once
disagree.
People start being held to the full accountability and start serving time, I think that's when the message is going to be finally that no one...
We need to be reminding these people that while Richard Nixon didn't go to prison, 48 people in his administration, including his Attorney General, John Mitchell, who held the job that Pam Bondi now holds, went to prison for the crimes that they committed in just covering up Watergate. I mean, minor... Well, it wasn't all just Watergate, but there were crimes that were committed by the Nixon administration, and you look back at the stuff that these guys went to prison for in the Nixon. These 48 people went to prison for in the Nixon administration, and they look like child's play compared to the crimes that are being committed almost every day by the Trump administration. So yeah, Michael, I agree with you. Thank you very much for that. Jerry in Augusta, Maine. Hey, Jerry, what's on your mind today?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you how you felt about this $18 trillion that Trump claims is going to be coming to America. In 2011, under Obama, I lost my job and it went to Mexico. Had an auction and they sold all the equipment off. So what's your take on that? Is that real or what?
No, Trump is making numbers up.
Okay, so
I mean,
you don't
the guy's
think
a
there's
professional
even
liar.
$5 trillion? You don't think there's even $5 trillion?
I don't think it's. I don't think any of it is meaningful. I mean, there are. We know that some of these commitments that have been made. The South Koreans and Japanese, for example, they made these huge commitments, and it turns out that a lot of this stuff was factories that were planned years ago that are in production right now. It's.
So you don't give him any credit for that?
No.
You think that's all fake? That's fake news.
By and large, Jerry, I do.
You don't expect to see power plants. They're going to create their own power, and you don't expect to see that in the coming year.
No, I do not. I do not expect to see massive foreign investment in the United States.
I can call you back and call you on that if it happens.
You absolutely can, Jerry.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Amazing. 45 minutes past the hour. I'll be back with more of your calls in just a minute. Stay with us.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
Speaking the truth, Donald Trump would really rather you didn't know all about it. I'll be right back with your calls. And welcome back. Nancy in Tucson, Arizona. Hey, Nancy, what's on your mind today?
Yes, Tom, thanks for taking my call. Sure. I'm calling also in memory of the terrible Supreme Court Bush versus Gore ruling.
Yeah, 25 years ago today.
Yes, first off, I've read both of your books, The Hidden History of the Supreme Court, The Betrayal of America, and also The Hidden History of the Right to Vote, where you write pretty extensively about both the felon purge and also the butterfly ballot. And I just want to say that they're only part of the story. 15 of my 24 years spent working on election campaigns were in Florida, and there's another really crucial piece of the puzzle that is very important that I want to urge you to Google an article. It's called Mangled Ballots Resurrected. It is the story of 10,000 absentee ballots located particularly in heavily Republican voting counties in Florida that the counting machines could not read. They were hand duplicated and then counted as Florida election law back then allowed for, because the Florida legislature realized that as the machines were beginning to count the votes, that there could be votes where the machines weren't able to read them, but the intent of the voter would be clear. And these absentee ballots, they favored Bush by more than 2-1, and this is what made it possible for Bush to steal the election. They're in the Jeb Bush, Catherine Harris vote count, and if it wasn't for those ballots, there would have been no Bush, and we would not have Trump today. So I want to strongly urge you to Google this article, Mangled Ballots Resurrected. It was written by the Orlando Sentinel, and it was published on May 5th, 2001, and to my knowledge, it's the only media outlet to ever report this reality.
Amazing.
And this is exactly what happened in Florida, period. But the law applied to all ballots the counting machines could not read, and not just absentee ballots in heavily Republican voting counties.
Right. Well, that's good to know. Nancy, I'll have to check that out. Thanks for the heads up on that, and happy holidays. Thank you. Christopher in Vancouver. Hey, Christopher, what's up?
Hey, Tom. Great to hear from you, and happy holidays to you and ours.
Thank you.
I've got an orange felon scam alert.
Okay.
The money that Trump says he's going to give us from the tariffs and for the health care, the question of the day is, would that be considered a bonus?
Oh, under the new law where bonuses aren't taxed? Or would it be considered a tip?
Well, we'll see. But bonuses are taxed by the IRS at 50%.
Oh, really?
Yes. I came from the sales world like you.
Yeah.
And I blew out my numbers, and I'd love to get the money, extra money.
Yeah.
But a bonus is taxed by the IRS at 50%.
Well,
so that's the question.
I've never heard of that, and although I don't, get bonuses. It's been a long time since I was involved in any kind of business that dealt with bonuses. But I thought that bonuses were just subject to ordinary income tax.
Nope. If they give us $2,000, we have to pay them $1,000.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Christopher, I'm skeptical. But
thanks. Okay.
I'll check it out. Thanks for the call. 49 minutes past the hour. I'll be back with you in just 1 minute. Stay with us. Hey, thanks so much for sharing our program and for reaching out to our stations and sponsors and letting them know that you're listening. It really means a lot to us. When Ronald Reagan took over America in 1981, we handed him a brand gleaming new country. Franklin Roosevelt, Harry Truman, Dwight Eisenhower, Jack Kennedy, they had built America. We had brand new schools, brand new hospitals, brand new interstate highway systems, brand new airports, infrastructure. We were the envy of the world. And then Republicans came along and they said, well, you just cut the top tax rate from 74% down to 27% and everything will trickle down. Instead, what do we get? Billionaires and poverty. They said, hey, just deregulate guns and an armed society is a polite society. Instead, we've got more school shootings than anywhere in the world. They said, just kill off civics and history classes in our schools and liberate our young people to focus on science and math. And now we've got people who don't know how our government works. I mean, it just goes on from there. There's a whole rant about it over at HartmannReport.com titled FDR Saved America, Then the GOP Ripped Us Apart. Check it out.
Orwell's warning, straight from the page. They're twisting the future, rewriting the age. History's burning, truth's under ban. Welcome, my friends, to Magistan.
Welcome back, 51 minutes past the hour. Welcome. Yeah, James in Hollywood. Hey, James, what's up?
Hey, Tom, my friend, still the smartest man in all media. I come bearing gifts for you and your guest host, Jefferson Word Smith, and all your listeners with priceless gifts. The first one's just pure happiness. You keep your fingers near that keyboard, so I do ROCKELBEL. It's 5 minutes and 28 seconds of happiness. Okay. It will make you smile, laugh, cry. Watch it with Louise and everyone out there. Watch it with someone you love, but it will make you happy. The second is for Tatiana Schlossberg, JFK's granddaughter, who's dying. She's dying because of Western medicine.
Well, she's dying because she has blood cancer.
Yes, but they gave her massive amounts of chemotherapy, and Gupta came out and said, if it didn't work already, it ain't going to work, and she's going to die.
Right.
You know what? She doesn't have to die, okay? Anyone who knows her, please take her some miso soup. And everyone out there who has a stage 4 terminal, get the book, The Cancer Prevention Diet, Michio Kushi.
Yeah, I knew Michio Kushi. I walked around the Boston Organic Foods Festival with him. I spent the better part of a day with him. Watched him smoke a half a pack of cigarettes. He had this theory that he could balance his tobacco by eating little dried fish. So he'd pop these little dried fish. And I had a friend who had colon cancer, and it was diagnosed very early. And he went on the macrobiotic diet instead of getting the cancer removed, and he died from it. So, James,
I'm not from the diet, Tom. It's because you didn't have a master. It's because you didn't look at...
it's a cult, James. It's a cult. Macrobiotics is a cult. Michio Kushi was a fraud. I knew the guy.
Tom, please. It's translated as the great way of life. It's universal
I know
law.
I get it, James. I get it. But it's, we both said our piece. I'm just going to leave it at that. And James, wish you the happiest of holidays. Larry in Fort Bragg, California. Hey, Larry, what's up?
Hey, happy holidays to you and your crew.
Thank you.
And I've been listening to you for a long time. I've got a little kind of a news report about Zoran Mamdani.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of his father? His name is Mahmoud.
Yeah, he's
a professor at Columbia.
Right, he's from Uganda, actually. Yeah.
Yes, and he's just written a book. It's called Slow Poison, and it's about how he went back to. I'm sorry, what was the country again?
Uganda.
Ghana.
That's where they're from.
And he helped put the country back together via some political oppositions to Idi Amin. And so his new book is called Slow Poison, and it was an interview that I saw on Democracy Now! A couple days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And his saying that he wanted to put out, he said, learn from your kids.
I like that. Yeah, there's a lot that we can learn from our kids. Good one,
Yes,
Larry.
Can I add one little couple of phrases from a song I know?
Sure.
It's in the absence of a vision, there are nightmares. In the absence of compassion, there is cancer.
Yeah.
And that's from Bruce Coburn.
There you go. Larry, thank you, and happy holidays to you. Carol in Cave Junction, Oregon. Carol, I have a little less than a minute here. I hope you have a short one.
Okay, yes. I'm going to get off all this heavy stuff because I can only take so much of it. So this is one way that us little people can do a little protest, is a fee-free days that they have in national parks.
Mm-hmm.
Trump doesn't want to have it the free day for Martin Luther King, and he doesn't want to have it for Juneteenth.
But for his birthday.
Juneteenth is the 19th, and Trump's birthday is the 14th, and he wants that to be the day.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have 6 months to do this. So can we get change whoever's in charge of Juneteenth or whatever? Let's change it to the 14th of June, and everybody celebrate Juneteenth on that day. Go to national parks and make sure you tell them you're there for Juneteenth.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's in charge of Juneteenth. There was a movement around getting it recognized as a federal holiday. I'll give you that. But Carol, I got to write. Great idea. Thank you very much for the call, and happy holidays. And thank you for being with us today. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. In the meantime, don't forget, democracy is not a spectator sport. It requires all of us, and that includes you. So get out there, get active, tag, you're it. Have a great afternoon. Be good to yourself and the folks around you. Stay safe. And I will catch up with you on Monday. Oh, and special thanks to Louise Hartman, Sean Taylor, Nate Antwell, Jamie Holly, Nigel Peacock, Sue Nethercutt, Patrick Hoyt, Mateo Robertson, Jeremy Peterson, all the fine folks
Thom
here.
Hartmann. For audio and video archives, visit ThomHartmann.com.
You know, John F. Kennedy famously said, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Well, today on the final day of our winter pledge drive, that question lands right in our laps. Because this morning, our frontline funders stepped up and said, you know, the fight is too big. The stakes are too high. Let's supercharge it. So they turned today into a double match day. That means that every dollar you give is matched 2 more times. You donate $30, a frontline funder kicks in $60, turning your impact into $90. Every gift is functionally tripled, but only today. And yes, this is the moment to grab the thank you gifts we've been saving for the home stretch. $20 with a one-time gift, mystery sticker. $60 or $5 a month. You support the remote area medical through RAM contributions. $120 or $10 a month, you get a signed copy of my book, The Last American President, at a special deal, a special lower price, $120 instead of $144. $240, the virtual Thom Hartmann meet and greet. We get together on Zoom, and for $1,000, come to Portland and watch the last hour of the program sitting here in our humble studio, and I'll buy you lunch. So ask not what independent media can do for you. Ask what we can build together, especially when your donation gets tripled. Call 877-378-8669 or visit us at freespeech.org/donate.
But a call to bear the burden of a long twilight struggle, year in and year out, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, a struggle against the common enemies of man, tyranny, poverty, disease, and war itself? Can we forge against these enemies a grand and global alliance, North and South, East and West, that can assure a more fruitful life for all mankind? Will you join in that historic effort? In the long history of the world, only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger. I do not shrink from this responsibility. I welcome it. I do not believe that any of us would exchange places with any other people or any other generation. The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. My fellow citizens of the world, ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man. Finally, whether you are citizens of America or citizens of the world, ask of us here the same high standards of strength and sacrifice which we ask of you. With a good conscience, our only sure reward, with history the final judge of our deeds, let us go forth to lead the land we love, asking his blessing and his help, but knowing that here on earth, God's work must truly be our own.
Welcome back. And friends, this is it. The last day, the last push, the moment in a pledge drive where we find out who we really are. Corporate media will bend, they will buckle, they will bow to power. We've seen it. We've watched truth get treated like an inconvenience. But free speech TV, we don't answer to billionaires. We answer to you. That's why this double match day matters so much. It's a chance to say, we show up for the country we believe in. We stand up for truth. We fund the media we want our kids and our grandkids to inherit. If you give $10 today, it turns into $30. If you give $50, it becomes $150. Every single act of generosity becomes 3 acts of power. So let's meet this moment the way JFK meant it. Eyes forward, shoulders squared, hands on the wheel of our own democracy. Call 877-378-8669 or go to freespeech.org/donate before the match ends at midnight. Help strengthen and keep together this extraordinary community of Free Speech TV viewers. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what we can do for each other and our media right now.